Chapter 1057, The Indigo-robed Man. Chapter 1057, The Indigo-robed Man. Jian Wushuang sat across from Su Ro in the front courtyard of his residence. "Brother, thank you for that." Su Ro said, "You're welcome. Besides, if I didn't get you in trouble with the Blood Azura clan, Lin Li wouldn't have been compelled to target you." Jian Wushuang replied, smilingly, "Humph, Lin Li. She held me in humble reverence when Master was here, but ever since Master left, she has been making things difficult for me in all respects. I wasn't strong enough or confident enough to offend her openly. However, with your help today, the Azura guards are now in my hands, and with my significant increase in power, she's not going to make any more trouble," Su Ro said with confidence. Jiang Wushuang saw a spark of ruthlessness in her eyes as she spoke. "Sister, you've grown a lot over the years," Jian Wushuang proudly answered, with a smile. He still remembered when he met Su Ro in the ancient world. Back then, she was a shy little girl who was afraid to talk to strangers. But now, her aura of her confidence filled the courtyard. Everyone has to grow up, but regardless of what changes, our relationship will always be the same," Su Ro said solemnly. "That's good," Jian Wushuang answered, grinning. "Oh, brother, you had asked me to check the whereabouts of your mother in the ancient demon clan, and I sent someone to investigate. Not long ago, he returned a message with some information," Su Ro said. "Information?" Jian Wushuang looked anxious. "Yes, but it hasn't been confirmed yet. I think he will send me more exact information in a few days," Su Ro replied. "Okay, as long as there is news," Jian Wushuang replied. He couldn't help but clench his hands at the expectations that were stirring deep within his heart. In anticipation of more information from Su Ro, Jian Wushan continued his stay in the Blood Azura clan, filling his time with meditation on the sword principle. Hundreds of miles away, there was an isolated mountain in the divine monster territory. The mountain was enormous, but otherwise seemed to be completely normal at first glance. Even common Dao masters flying over might fail to detect anything out of the ordinary. However, masters who were skilled in formation would undoubtedly realize its power. The mountain was encircled in a huge psychedelic formation, and inside it lay a smattering of palaces. This was the Samsara Temple, known as the most important branch in the divine monster territory. At present, a bright light shone from the center, a huge wormhole in the middle of the temple, followed by a figure. The figure who walked out was a handsome man dressed in a simple indigo robe. He had a little stubble and silvery long hair flowed over his shoulder. He was somewhat haggard, but his eyes still managed to be striking. They were as dark as gems and seemed to hold the endless void. There was no aura surrounding him, causing him to look quite ordinary. But with a closer look, every move he made caused a ripple in the world around him. As he appeared, many experts in the temple rushed over. Dozens of them were experts who held high positions in the temple, and the rest also held positions of influence. Among them were 10 gold-clothed deacons, and there were even 2 inner elders who were strong enough to be reincarnators of rank 8. These experts looked to the indigo-robed man with reverence and awe before greeting him together. "Greetings, Your Highness." The indigo-robed man nodded with indifference and continued on into one of the towering palaces around them. Inside the palace, he sat on the largest throne, with the inner elders and gold-clothed deacons standing below him respectfully. Occasionally, some of them would glance at him with admiration in their eyes. They all knew the greatness of the man in front of them. In the past 1,000 years, his actions had created one myth after another. each of which thrilled everyone present. Sitting on the throne, the indigo-robed man was thumbed through some papers. The papers held records of the events of the Divine Monster territory in recent years, the most detailed of which contained what befell the ancient demon clan. The indigo-robed man's expression shifted as he read about how the ancient demon clan worked with the Patriarch of Empyrean Glory to hunt down Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang. A strange expression appeared on his face before he demanded, "Bring me all the files on Jian Wushuang." "Yes," one of the inner elders answered, and was gone for just a moment before he returned with more papers. Jiang Wushuang had stirred up the Samsara continent, and his talent and strength were things to behold. The Samsara temple had investigated him thoroughly already and kept the subsequent files on hand. As he read the files on Jian Wushuang, the corners of the indigo-robed man's mouth turned up. It was him, the ancient demon clan, and the Patriarch of Empyrean Glory failed to hurt him even when they worked together. Even better, he survived 3 attacks from the Patriarch. Well, that's impressive. This is perfect timing for my next action. It would be great if he could lend a hand. The ancient demon clan. Humph. He sneered, but then turned serious. He waved his hand, pulling out a gilded letter. "Go and send this letter to all the populations in the Divine Monster territory, all the lone warriors, and anyone who has the ability to fight as fast as possible," he ordered in a loud voice. Below him, one inner elder took this letter immediately. As he opened the letter and read, his pupils dilated. The inauguration ceremony for new supervisor. Everyone in the palace gasped at his words. Shocked, they all looked to the indigo-robed man. They knew what great power the supervisor of the Samsara temple held, and the extent of the abilities needed to claim the title. The indigo-robed man in front of them would be the new supervisor so soon. Chapter 1058, The Heaven-Ceasing Peak. Chapter 1058, The Heaven-Ceasing Peak. Deep within the Blood Azura clan. Whoosh! A white shadow flashed by as Jian Wushuang stood still. The tall tree in front of him had been sliced through. No, this isn't right. Jian Wushuang frowned. He had achieved the peak of his speed, but it was limited by the sword principle of universe level. It was far slower than the speed a sword principle of creation level could reach. In his sad attempts, he often even felt there was no purpose to his practice at all. I deciphered the essence of the swordplay of coalescence a long time ago, and to improve it, I only need to continue to assimilate new techniques. However, the swordplay of Aurora and the swordplay of Heat are quite different. I have to dig deeper and learn more for both. Jian Wushuang murmured, "Brother." Su Ro entered the yard as she spoke. "You have something?" Jian Wushuang invited her to sit at the table. "Yes," Su Ro answered and nodded. "The expert of ours who infiltrated the ancient demon clan sent me a message saying he figured out where your mother is. He isn't completely sure, but he says there's a good chance." "Tell me," Jian Wushuang said hurriedly. "Here is the thing," Su Ro started to explain. "When he was first ordered to look for your mother, he investigated some experts of the ancient demon clan. Since your mother was captured by Ninth Sword Tao Master himself more than 2,000 years ago, it should have been easy to find more clues. Except after more than 100 years in the demon clan, he still has not managed to find anything. It seems that your mother never appeared in the ancient demon clan. He asked many other experts secretly, and they didn't even know that Ninth Sword Tao Master had been to the ancient world, much less capture anyone. The investigation was a dead end until he overheard some people talking about the Heaven-Ceasing Peak." "The Heaven-Ceasing Peak?" Jiang Wushuang asked in confusion. "What is it?" "It's a strange, isolated place that terrifies most of the ancient demon clan. As a result, the clansmen are forbidden to enter it. Even if they to try enter, many experts of the clan can't even approach it. Only the clansmen who committed terrible crimes or brought endless losses to the ancient demon clan can be imprisoned in the heaven-ceasing peak. Ordinary criminals don't deserve such terrible punishment. Su-ro explained seriously. In all the years that the ancient demon clan has been in the Samsara continent, only 2 have been imprisoned in the heaven-ceasing peak. One is the second clan leader of the ancient demon clan. He made a wrong decision, which resulted in the clan almost being driven from the Samsara mainland. After the crisis, he felt so guilty that he went to the heaven-ceasing peak of his own, for 100 years. The other is the most famous traitor in the history of the ancient demon clan. He fled after killing his master and his parents, and many of the experts who were sent to capture him were also slaughtered. He was an insane great demon. It wasn't until the strongest expert of the clan defeated him that they imprisoned him in the heaven-ceasing peak. He eventually died from the endless torture of the heaven-ceasing peak. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang became extremely serious. According to what Su-ro's account, the heaven-ceasing peak would be a grave challenge. Sister, you mentioned the heaven-ceasing peak. Is my mother? Jian Wushuang asked worriedly. I was getting there, Su-ro replied gravely. Our expert heard that a woman was imprisoned in the heaven-ceasing peak. No one knows who she is, where she came from, or why she is imprisoned there. The only thing he managed to find out is that the woman was imprisoned in the heaven-ceasing peak about 2,000 years ago. Jian Wushuang's pupils shrank in his astonishment. Su-ro added, I know you said that mother should be special in the ancient demon clan, except not many of them know about her. Even though the origins of the woman locked in the heaven-ceasing peak are unknown, she was captured about 2,000 years ago, which matches the time frame you gave. That's why I think she may be your mother. Jian Wushuang stilled. He agreed with Su-ro's guess. The woman locked in the heaven-ceasing peak was most likely his mother. The heaven-ceasing peak, the heaven-ceasing peak. Jian Wushuang shouted, clenching his fists with an angry look. Brother, I have already checked on the heaven-ceasing peak for you. The ancient demon clan won't release her from their forbidden ground alive unless she entered it voluntarily. Su-ro said, her words heavy. However, what matters in this world is strength. When you're strong enough to overwhelm the ancient demon clan, they will release her at your simple demand. You're strong now, but not strong enough. You must improve yourself until you are the most powerful man in the realm. I know, Jian Wushuang answered and nodded, unclenching his hands at the same time. He was angry and agitated when he thought of the heaven-ceasing peak, but he could not allow himself to be distracted. So he calmed himself down. He was powerful enough to hold his own against the ordinary holy masters, and he could defeat some of the lower-level ones such as Lin Li. However, he wasn't strong enough yet to fight against the entirety of the ancient demon clan. After all, they had 3 holy masters in total. The strongest of them had reached the highest level of cultivation and was even stronger than the patriarch of Empyrean glory. At least I know where my mother is now. Now I just have to put more effort into becoming stronger. Only when I'm as strong as the Void Temple Master, the Samsara Temple Master, or the Sunrise Sword Emperor can I attack the ancient demon clan and find my mother. All it takes is power. Jian Wushuang's eyes gleamed. Chapter 1059, A Shocking Invitation. Chapter 1059, A Shocking Invitation. Whoosh! A figure suddenly landed in the courtyard. It was an elder of the Blood Azura clan. Your Highness. He approached Su-ro and handed her a gilded invitation. He said respectfully, An invitation from the Samsara temple. An invitation from the Samsara temple. Confused, Su Ro took the letter and opened it. As she was reading, an expression of surprise flashed across her face. "Sister, what does it say?" Jian Wushuang asked. "Leave us." Su Ro sent the elder away and turned to Jian Wushuang, saying, "It is an invitation from the Samsara temple, asking us to send a representative for the inauguration ceremony of its new supervisor." "Supervisor?" Jian Wushuang asked in confusion. "What is that?" "The supervisor of the Samsara temple is a superb expert who has great power and influence, second only to the Samsara temple master. Reincarnators of rank 8 that are powerful enough to serve as influential inner elders must listen to the supervisor. The supervisor of the Samsara temple, in a manner of speaking, is their leader. A supervisor must also be extremely powerful. Only reincarnators of rank 9, who have passed the final test, are qualified to serve as the supervisor. As a result, qualified individuals are extremely rare. The Samsara temple's test for reincarnators becomes more and more difficult as the rank grows. It is already extremely difficult for reincarnators of rank 8, and even holy masters are anxious at the tests for reincarnators of rank 9. Only superb holy masters are qualified for rank 9. The Samsara temple has been developing in the Samsara continent for many years, and so have its reincarnators. They've been competing with each other on the principle of survival of the fittest. So far, less than 5 people have become reincarnators of rank 9. The Samsara temple has only 2 such reincarnators, known as its supervisors. So, the Samsara temple is going to have a 3rd supervisor. Su Ro explained. After she finished, Jian Wushuang nodded to himself. He recognized the vast strength and power needed to become a supervisor immediately. In the past, the Samsara temple had only 2 supervisors, both of whom were also superb holy masters. Top clans like the ancient Demon clan and the Blood Azura clan held great respect for both in fear of offending them. None of the experts who received an invitation from the 3rd supervisor would dare refuse. The inauguration ceremony for the new supervisor will be held in 3 days. "Brother, you should come with me," Su Ro said. "Me," Jian Wushuang answered and nodded slightly. "The supervisor is so powerful in the Samsara temple. When I meet him, perhaps I can ask him the price to help me find my father." His father's position within the Samsara temple was quite strange. Even elders like Ding Mo weren't qualified to know about him. But a supervisor who was second only to the Void Temple Master might have the authority to search for more information. If the supervisor agreed to help, he might have a chance of finding his father. Su Ro also knew of this possibility, which was why she had offered to take him with her. "I'll be here in 3 days." Jian Wushuang answered with a smile. "Sounds good," Su Ro affirmed, nodding her head. "We can't be the only clan invited to the inauguration ceremony. There will most likely be others, and perhaps a few solitary experts as well. I suppose the ancient Demon clan and the Patriarch of Empyrean Glory will also be there. You must prepare yourself for that." The ancient Demon clan, the Patriarch of Empyrean Glory? Jian Wushuang smiled wickedly. The latter had an agreement with me, and with so much attention on us, he wouldn't dare to break his promise. Even if not willing to let me off, I don't think he'll fight me if I don't provoke him. As for the ancient Demon clan, well, I'll take anything they throw at me. Jian Wushuang was very confident in himself. 120 years ago, he had managed to survive when the Patriarch of Empyrean Glory and the ancient Demon clan hunted him down. 120 years later, he was stronger and naturally more confident as well. Just as Su Ro said, The invitation to the inauguration ceremony in Samsara Temple was sent to many other clans, including the ancient demon clan, the Python clan, the Shwefong clan, and other huge forces in the Samsara continent, as well as a number of solitary experts. All the clans and experts were stunned when they received the invitation. The supervisor of the Samsara Temple was extraordinary. The clans and solitary experts had hardly received their invitations before they were already rushing to prepare. In the Python clan, one of the 4 peak populations, there's going to be another supervisor of the Samsara Temple. The clan leader of the Python clan demanded of a crowd of experts. A supervisor, that's much more powerful than an elder. The Samsara Temple has at least 20 inner elders, some of whom were replaced. The 2 supervisors have remained unchanged for so many years. Now, there is going to be the 3rd one. This must be something big. Prepare some lavish gifts to bring to the ceremony in 3 days. In the Shwefong clan, another of the 4 peak populations, the supervisors of the Samsara Temple have great power. Even though they often stay out of the concerns of the masses and fights between different clans, their influence is still unparalleled. They can ruin things we've worked toward for years with a single word, but they can also improve us at a snap of their fingers. Now that our clan is the weakest among 4 of the peak populations, and we failed to create a friendship with the first 2 supervisors of the Samsara Temple, we must build a strong relationship with the new supervisor. Even if we fail to make him like us, we shouldn't make him angry with us. 3 great elders, and I will set out in 3 days. A supervisor. The patriarch of Empyrean glory also received the invitation from Samsara Temple. And even he who is used to being unruly and unrestrained left for the divine monster territory with 2 of his protectors. Chapter 1060, Tit for Tat. Chapter 1060, Tit for Tat. In the starless city of the divine monster territory, the inauguration ceremony for the 3rd supervisor of the Samsara Temple would be held in the starless city, the busiest city in divine monster territory. The city was filled to the brim with traveling experts and was heavily guarded. More than half of the top experts throughout the Samsara continent had gathered in the city. Everyone who had received an invitation had to come to pay their respects. Even some uncivilized ones, such as the patriarch of Empyrean glory. Experts from all parties had gathered in the large camp at the center of the starless city. Among them were experts from the 4 top clans, including the ancient demon clan, the Python clan, and the Shwefong clan. Most of the representatives that came were the best in their clans. In addition, the clan leaders of the Python clan and the Blood Phoenix clan brought with them lavish gifts. The strongest expert of the ancient demon clan didn't come, but 2 of their holy masters were present. The 2 were Holy Master Dongming and Holy Master Lei Yi. The ancient demon clan actually sent 2 holy masters for this. Experts from all parties in the camp couldn't help staring. Among all the clans in the Samsara continent, only the ancient demon clan and the Blood Azura clan had 2 holy masters. The Python clan and the Shwefong clan had only 1 holy master each. Even tough, they were both top clans. This difference was huge. Holy Master Lei Yi, the madman, Holy Master Lei Yi willingly wandered in the impasse for thousands of years. I didn't expect to see him here. The experts were all gossiping to each other, and the focus of some of the whispering was on the red-haired elder of the ancient demon clan, whose gaze was sharp as an eagle's. He was Holy Master Lei Yi, who became a famous top expert many years ago. In terms of strength, Holy Master Lei Yi was more powerful than Holy Master Dongming, and among the 3 holy masters of the ancient demon clan, he ranked the 2nd. Suddenly, whoosh, 3 men fell from the sky and landed in the camp. Their sudden appearance captured everyone's attention. There was a young red-robed man with a longsword strapped to his back, a black-robed girl with a gorgeous face, and a large man with a figure like a bear. As a holy master, the strong man was the most powerful of the three. He, however, walked in the back respectfully. The young man with the long sword and the black-robed girl walked ahead of him, shoulder to shoulder. They're with the Blood Azura clan. The girl is the Holy Emperor of the Azuras. Holy Emperor of the Azuras rules the Blood Azura clan. She isn't very powerful, but she has awakened the Eye of Azura, which allows her to control many experts. The Holy Master behind her is under her control. She controls the Holy Master? That's impressive. Who is the man by her side? He can't be Jian Wushuang? Yes, it is Jian Wushuang. Everyone's gaze turned to the red-robed man with the long sword at those cries. Their interest in the mysterious Jian Wushuang was so strong that they even ignored Su Ro, the Holy Emperor of the Azuras. That's Jian Wushuang? The man who shook the entire divine monster territory. He's said to be of merely eternal realm, but he managed to survive a joint attack by the Patriarch of Empyrean Glory and Holy Master Dongming of the Ancient Demon Clan. Holy Emperor of the Azuras helped him. True, but he was still alive after being hit by the Patriarch of Empyrean Glory 3 times. Do you know the 9th Sword Dao Master of the Ancient Demon Clan? He was captured alive by Jian Wushuang and hasn't been released yet. A heated discussion continued. Jian Wushuang and Su Ro heard them and smiled secretly, but otherwise they had no reaction. Jian Wushuang. In a corner of the camp, the Patriarch of Empyrean Glory, dressed in a black robe, clenched his fists and glared at Jian Wushuang, veins throbbing on his forehead. He was desperate to avenge his son. If he was strong enough, he would kill Jian Wushuang. Unfortunately, he tried to kill Jian Wushuang 120 years ago and failed. He knew killing Jian Wushuang would be too much to hope for now. Also, due to their agreement, he had no choice but to let go of his hatred. So now, even though every bone in his body told him to, he didn't attack Jian Wushuang. On the other side of the camp, Holy Master Lei Yi and Holy Master Dongming from the Ancient Demon Clan spied Jian Wushuang. Holy Master Lei Yi strode toward him first. Holy Master Dongming frowned and followed. "You are Jian Wushuang?" Holy Master Lei Yi asked in a cold and deep voice. He wasn't asking loudly, but his dangerous tone cut through all the other voices in the camp. The whole place fell silent. Everyone turned to look at him. Jian Wushuang and Su Ro stopped in their tracks. Jian Wushuang looked up at the man standing in front of him. A red-haired man stared at him coldly with burning eyes. "Brother, he's Holy Master Lei Yi from the Ancient Demon Clan. Speaking of strength, he's more powerful than Holy Master Dongming and Lin Li. He also has a violent temper." Su Ro said in a low voice. "Are you from the Ancient Demon Clan?" Jian Wushuang said smilingly. Experts on the looked on at the scene with confused expressions. "It's Holy Master Lei Yi. I know it's him. He's famous for his violent temper. He is the most irritable among 3 Holy Masters of the Ancient Demon Clan. When I saw him here, I knew things were going to get interesting." Jian Wushuang has kept 9th Sword Dao Master in captivity for over 100 years, but the Ancient Demon Clan hasn't responded yet. Based on Holy Master Lei Yi's temper, he'll do nothing. Let's just watch. Other experts watched this with amusement as well, and no one had any plans to step in. "Boy, I'm asking you something." The Holy Master glared at Jian Wushuang and demanded, "Aren't you that low-born bastard, Jian Wushuang with a dirty bloodline. Are you the son of an insignificant slut from the ancient world? Chapter 1061, Celestial Master, Lei Yi. Chapter 1061, Celestial Master Lei Yi. You're Jian Wushuang, that little low-born bastard with weak bloodline, and the son of an insignificant man from the ancient world. Celestial Master Lei Yi's cold words, obviously meant to humiliate Jian Wushuang, echoed throughout the drill ground. The experts present were immediately swept into an uproar. They never expected Lei Yi to respond with such insulting words. The atmosphere instantly turned tense. Jian Wushuang's eyes turned icy cold. He raised his head to stare at Lei Yi. Old man, what did you just say? Didn't you hear me? Let me repeat myself. Lei Yi sneered before slowing down. I called you little BS. He did not even finish his sentence. Bang! The ground under Jian Wushuang's feet disintegrated as he leaped into the air. Out of the blue, Lei Yi found himself surrounded by a terrifyingly strong killing intent. A chilly, whistling wind penetrated his skin. He could already feel the stinging pain on his face. Instead of panicking, he appeared delighted at this scene. Ha! What an idiot! We're now at the inauguration ceremony for the new supervisor. Here am I wondering how to kill him, but he's the one who's starting the fight. This means the supervisor can't blame me even if I kill him. After all, I need to defend myself. Lei Yi sniggered as a purple long spear appeared in his hand. The purple thunderbolt gathered around his spear. The thunderbolt, rolling and beating, gave off the dreadful and deadly aura. Lei Yi's eyes glinted as he watched Jian Wushuang approach, and then directly thrust his spear at the latter. This move awakened countless purple thunderbolts that flowed frantically in the air, tearing apart the void around them. The thunderbolts continued to gather and form a huge purple dragon with a wave of Lei Yi's spear. The dragon let out low howls and pounced on Jian Wushuang with its jaw wide open. Heaven's bane! Killing intent continued to gush out of Jian Wushuang's body. The sword essence that soared into the sky and the power of three-sword principle gathered in his sword. He then furiously swung his sword. The earth cracked, the void shattered, and a tremendous black hole appeared. The black hole expanded as it ruthlessly devoured everything around it. The experts on the drill ground were taken aback after seeing the sword light in black hole and swiftly stepped back to keep their distance from the battle. Boom! That ferocious dragon once again clashed with Jian Wushuang's sword strike. It was as if two stars had collided. When the two powers collided, horrible waves and air currents frantically swept out in all directions. The powers clashed violently the moment the sword's shadow met the huge dragon made out of purple thunderbolts. No one could predict the outcome of this battle. Finally, the dragon divided into innumerable thunderbolts that quickly dispersed. When the dragon disappeared, Jian Wushuang's sword shadow also completely lost its power. Humph! Jian Wushuang stepped forward, his eyes glinting with killing intent. He crossed tens of thousands of miles with a single step, bringing him in front of Lei Yi once again. Death Shadow! Jian Wushuang made a low bellow. The crisp echo of the sword resounded, the sound as entrancing and melodious as water drops falling on the bamboo trees in the mountains. A flash of sword light followed instantly. What's this? Lei Yi frowned. The moment he heard the echo of the sword, he detected that a terrifying consciousness attack was coming for him. Not only was this consciousness attack quiet, but it was also overwhelming. There were 3 of them in total. The attacks landed on Lei Yi the same time, each one stronger than the one before it. Lei Yi was a genuine celestial master with an iron will. Even so, his speed diminished significantly after the 3 consecutive consciousness attacks struck him. When the beautiful sword shadow came, he could barely raise his spear and put it in front of himself. Clang! The low sound of a collision resounded. Lei took a step backward. What a strange strike! Lei was rather horrified. That blow is weird indeed. It consisted of 3 consciousness attacks that affect me silently. Fortunately, I have a strong will, or I would have already been killed by his consciousness attacks and sword shadow. How could he easily withstand my heaven's bane and death's shadow? Jian Wushuang wondered in surprise. Jian Wushuang had made great progress in his sword principles and swordsmanship after cultivating in the Blood Azura clan for 120 years. Not only did he create the powerful and terrifying bladed surge, but he also greatly improved the power of Heaven's Bane and Death's Shadow. For instance, he had improved Heaven's Bane so that it was now stronger and swifter. Death's Shadow, on the other hand, had become even stranger, quieter, and faster. In addition, Death's Shadow's consciousness attack had increased from 1 attack to 3. His consciousness attack was previously hidden in the sword light, whereby his enemy would suffer the attack only after seeing the sword light. Now, his attack was contained in the sword echo and could take effect even without the sword light. Coupled with his current strength of 3-star Imperial Kinsman Ancient God and the power of his 3 sword principles, the 2 techniques that he unleashed were certainly terrifyingly powerful. Yet, Lei still managed to ward them off with ease. Kill! Jian Wushuang's gaze turned razor-sharp. Under the rapt attention of many experts, he launched another strike with an even stronger killing intent. Humph! Brat, don't think too highly of yourself. With a deafening roar, another purple long spear emerged in Lei Yi's hand. He now had 2 purple long spears in hand, each of them surrounded by countless purple thunderbolts. Chapter 1062, Defeated. Chapter 1062, Defeated. Bang! Jian Wushuang once again exchanged blows with Celestial Master Lei Yi on the drill ground. The battle between 2 men who possessed the strength of a Celestial Master had caused significant damage to the ground. The remaining wave had a terrifyingly destructive power. The surface of drill ground was lifted as if doomsday had arrived. Go to hell! Lei Yi waved his 2 purple spears at the same time, and the enormous purple thunderbolt turned into thunderclouds that immediately covered thousands of miles. Soon, the thunderclouds moved toward Jian Wushuang. Break! Jian Wushuang turned into a powerful, sharp sword. Unleashing his strong sword essence, he pulled out his Blood Mountain sword and used the Heaven's Bane. Bang! 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 The explosive sounds of a frightening roar and energy colliding resounded continuously in the void. This time, a great number of experts from the influential clans had come to attend the inauguration ceremony of the new supervisor. They now watched the battle unfold with a startled look. No one expected that Jian Wushuang would dare start a fight at the ceremony. Moreover, he was just an Eternal Realm expert whose opponent was a famous Celestial Master. They were evidently not at the same level, but he still dared to attack Lei Yi without hesitation. What a brave lad! The crowd admired Jian Wushuang's courage. He was even more unruly than Patriarch of Empyrean Glory. Proud and unruly as Patriarch of Empyrean Glory was, he wouldn't dare to take the initiative to challenge a Celestial Master while still in the Eternal Realm. Not only did Jian Wushuang dare make the first attack, but he also managed to frighten the rest with his overwhelming power. Celestial Master. His battle strength must have reached the level of a Celestial Master. Oh God! To think that an Eternal Realm expert and a celestial master would be so well matched that neither can gain the upper hand. Could I be dreaming? Most of the experts couldn't help expressing their amazement. They could hardly believe what they were witnessing. They had been shocked when they learned that Jian Wushuang was still alive after taking 3 blows from Patriarch of Empyrean Glory. Shocked as they were, they could accept it, for they had assumed that Jian Wushuang survived thanks to the protection of some treasure with incredible defensive power. The only thing that battle could prove was that Jian Wushuang had a knack for staying alive. No one recognized his real strength in that battle. Today, however, he fought Lei Yi head-on and didn't fall into a state of disadvantage. This indicated that he had acquired the battle strength of a celestial master. The strength of an eternal realm expert rivals a celestial master's. The experts were in disbelief. That brat, Patriarch of Empyrean Glory, narrowed his eyes and clenched his fists tighter. Many experts turned to look at him with complicated glances. Patriarch of Empyrean Glory had tried to kill Jian Wushuang 120 years ago, but the latter remained alive after suffering 3 of his full-strength blows. News of their battle had long been spread far and wide. Back then, Jian Wushuang hadn't been a worthy opponent for Patriarch of Empyrean Glory. The latter had known that Jian Wushuang was just at the level of rank 3 Dao Master, close to a common Dao Master's strength at most. Yet, look at what Jian Wushuang was capable of right now. Jian Wushuang had gained the battle strength of a real celestial master in 120 years, his power reaching the middle level. Lei Yi had strong battle strength among the celestial masters. After all, he's terrifying. This kid's talent is too terrifying. Patriarch of Empyrean Glory sighed with emotion. Jian Wushuang remained locked in a fierce battle with Lei Yi on the battlefield. He appeared in front of Lei Yi as abruptly as a ghost, his eyes glinting. Then, he furiously thrust his sword. A terrifying force tore the space ruthlessly. What? Lei Yi frowned. He could sense that this strike was much more powerful than the one before it. Is he using his unique skill? Lei Yi sneered as he thrust his 2 purple spears straight toward the sky. A sharp sound of an explosion immediately reverberated. This was Lei Yi's strongest technique, thunder explosion. Bang! The earth trembled and things fell silent. The space where the 2 forces met had already shattered. Humph! The overwhelming power penetrated his blood-killing plate armor, and whatever power remained entered his body. He felt his internal qi and blood running wild, and subsequently spat out a mouthful of blood. Jian Wushuang's eyes remained grim, displaying the anger deep within. Explode! With a fierce roar, Jian Wushuang triggered the power concealed in his sword. The power burst out and formed a second layer of strength. Oh no! There was a dramatic change in Lei Yi's expression. The terrifying power hit him instantaneously, causing him to tremble violently and spit out blood. His aura diminished sharply as he was forced backward, making him a pathetic sight to behold. This breathtaking fight that lasted for only several breaths finally came to an end. Lei Yi had retreated to the very edge of the drill ground. He started at Jian Wushuang in awe as he clutched his chest. Jian Wushuang still wore a cold look. The outcome astounded the experts from different clans. It was shocking enough Jian Wushuang and Lei Yi had been equally matched, but now it was evident that Jian Wushuang had defeated Celestial Master Lei Yi. Their astonishment was beyond words. To think that an Eternal Realm expert beat a Celestial Master in the field. This was an explosive and shocking piece of news. Fortunately, I had not desperately wanted him dead. I couldn't take his life then, but now he can definitely kill me. Patriarch of Empyrean glory mused as he stared fixedly at Jian Wushuang. He had completely given up on the thought of avenging his son. Suddenly, an angry voice resounded. "What are you doing?" Several figures came flying toward them from a distance. They were experts from the Samsara temple, including two elders. Jian Wushuang recognized one of them to be Ding Mo. Now that the experts from the Samsara temple had arrived, they could no longer continue their fight. The other experts continued to give Jian Wushuang strange looks. After all, he was the one who started the fight. "What's going on?" Ding Mo stood in the center of the field, looking around the drill ground with a frown. His gaze eventually settled on Jian Wushuang and Lei Yi. "Jian Wushuang, Celestial Master Lei Yi, please explain yourselves." Chapter 1063, Supervisor. Chapter 1063, Supervisor. "Jian Wushuang, Celestial Master Lei Yi, please explain yourselves." Silence fell over the drill ground after Ding Mo finished speaking. The experts present waited to see what would happen next. The pale-faced Lei Yi shot Jian Wushuang a cold glare before gritting his teeth and saying, "Elder Ding Mo, the crowd can be my witness. Jian Wushuang was the one who attacked me first. Is that true?" Ding Mo turned to Jian Wushuang. "I'm the one who attacked first," Jian Wushuang said, acknowledging his fault in an indifferent voice. There was nothing worth denying over. This was the truth. "Jian Wushuang, you started a fight and reduced the drill ground to ruins in the inauguration ceremony of our new supervisor. How dare you belittle our supervisor and Samsara temple like this?" Ding Mo asked in a reproachful tone. While Ding Mo admired Jian Wushuang's talent, he couldn't just turn a blind eye to what he had done. Today, Jian Wushuang's rash act did offend their new supervisor. "I did act recklessly today. I'd like to pay for what I have done." Jian Wushuang apologized with a serious expression as he looked at Ding Mo, "But I'd never regret my actions. Since I now have the intention to kill, I'll never quit until I die. Celestial Master Lei Yi, I might not be able to end your life in the inauguration ceremony today, but remember that I'll go after you once the ceremony is over. I'll hunt you down wherever you run and hack you into 10,000 pieces. Even if you hide in the ancient demon clan forever, I'll wait until I become a Tao master and slaughter the clan to find you. When that happens, you'll be as good as dead." Jian Wushuang's words that were full of strong killing intent reverberated throughout the drill ground. It startled the experts from the different forces. Lei Yi's face turned pale. He hadn't taken Jian Wushuang seriously before their fight, and his words earlier were intended to humiliate the latter. More importantly, he had wanted to agitate Jian Wushuang so that he could get a chance to take him out. He did manage to infuriate Jian Wushuang enough to attack him. His plan had succeeded, but he was surprised to find Jian Wushuang to be this strong. Jian Wushuang had defeated him in a direct confrontation. He couldn't help quaking in his boots after hearing Jian Wushuang's threat. Jian Wushuang's strength was above his, and to make things worse, he also had great potential. If such a dangerous man made up his mind to pursue him, it would definitely be his nightmare. "Hunt me down? You better worry about how to save yourself after offending our supervisor in public. Did you think you can easily placate him?" Lei Yi snorted. He was an irritable and conceited person. He might fear Jian Wushuang, but he was unwilling to bow down to him. "Jian Wushuang, no one can challenge the supervisor's prestige," Ding Mo added. "Of course, it depends upon his mood. If he's in a good mood, he'll spare you with just an apology. Otherwise, He might just take your life in a fit of anger. Take care. Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes but showed no anxiety on his face. He was stronger now. Even if the supervisor did not forgive him, he could still keep himself safe. He did not have to act cowardly now that he was equipped with profound cultivation and skills. Besides, it was Celestial Master Lei who pushed his buttons. Little low-born bastard with weak bloodline, the son of nobody from the ancient world. Not only did he humiliate me, but he also degraded my father. He deserves to die. Jian Wushuang growled. Just then, here comes the supervisor. The sudden loud sound caused a commotion in the drill ground. Most of the experts looked in the direction of the voice. So did Jian Wushuang and Lei. The supervisor is here. I'd like to see how this fellow dies. Lei snorted. A silver-haired man, escorted by dozens of golden-robed servants and 2 elders, slowly walked up to them. He was dressed in a rugged indigo-colored robe and emanated no special aura. He appeared utterly ordinary upon first glance. Many experts were surprised when they saw the man in the indigo-colored robe. Such a distinguished temperament. How unworldly! Is he the new supervisor of the Samsara Temple? He's extraordinary as expected. These experts had met countless big shots in their life, and the moment they saw the indigo-robed man, they could tell that he was a remarkable figure. His disposition distinguished him from the rest. He looked aloof, as if he was completely removed from any worldly affairs. The insignificant mortals, overlords, experts, or celestial masters from the Samsara continent seemed to make no difference to him. His exceeding composure was far beyond anyone's reach. The indigo-robed man, who stood in the center of the drill ground, was on the receiving end of the crowd's attention. With a wave of his hand, a black throne emerged out of thin air behind him. He took a seat in a carefree manner and looking at the crowd with his profound eyes. Those met his eyes were left in awe. The man was able to make others yield to him with his indifference and unworldly disposition without taking action or deliberately emanating his aura. I heard that this new supervisor is the source of many legends, and that it took him only some 2,000 years to reach the 9th phase of Reincarnator. He's the only one to achieve that in such a short amount of time. Only 2,000 years? How is that even possible? It's true. I also heard that the Samsara Temple Master deeply favors this supervisor. Rumors even have it that the Samsara Temple Master has taken him as his personal disciple. The Samsara Temple Master's personal disciple? That's. The crowd continued discussing the new supervisor. However, the indigo-robed man wasn't interested in their compliments. He swept his gaze through the experts before finally settling on Jian Wushuang. When he found Jian Wushuang, a profound, elusive smile appeared on his face. Jian Wushuang remained still while meeting the indigo-robed man's stare. The man was the only one reflected in his eyes. Chapter 1064. Since he wants you dead, you should die. Chapter 1064. Since he wants you dead, you should die. What's going on here? The indigo-robed man smiled faintly at them, his voice drifting far and wide. My lord, Jian Wushuang, and celestial manner Lei from the ancient demon clan fought earlier. Ding Mo replied deferentially. It's Jian Wushuang who attacked me first, leaving me no choice but to defend myself. I never thought of offending you, my lord, Lei immediately explained. I see. The indigo-robed man remained expressionless. He then turned to Jian Wushuang and asked, Is he telling the truth? Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded. The strong killing intent that he carried skyrocketed as he continued speaking in a gloomy voice. I want him dead. Oh. The supervisor raised an eyebrow. The experts gathered on the drill ground wore complicated expressions after hearing Jian Wushuang's words. They never expected him to remain so stubborn and blurt out his thoughts in the supervisor's presence. "Humph! How dare you be so audacious in front of our supervisor? You want me dead? Let's see who will die first." Lei Yi sneered. In his opinion, Jian Wushuang's stubbornness would only bring him closer to his grave. If Jian Wushuang was a little more courteous, admit his mistakes, and apologize, the supervisor might consider letting him off. But now, this seemed highly unlikely. He's really digging his own grave. Lei Yi's eyes turned exceptionally cold and sharp. "Celestial manner, Lei Yi," the supervisor said, shifting his gaze to once again look at Lei Yi. "Did you hear what Jian Wushuang said?" "Yes." Lei Yi nodded gravely and answered in a cold voice. "My lord, Jian Wushuang acted recklessly and stirred up trouble at your inauguration ceremony. Even in your presence, he remains egotistical and shows no respect for you. He has committed an unpardonable crime. I hope that you'll inflict a strict punishment on him." He was eager to kill Jian Wushuang now. Since he dared not to ask the supervisor for an execution, he pleaded with the supervisor to inflict a severe punishment on Jian Wushuang instead. "Inflict a strict punishment?" The supervisor smiled, looking as if he was ruminating. Jian Wushuang remained apathetic, as if he was confident and secure in his innocence. In fact, the gaze he cast on Lei Yi appeared to carry a hint of pity. "Poor man." Jian Wushuang sneered deep inside. "Celestial manner, Lei Yi," the indigo-robed man called his name again. "Let's put aside the matter of inflicting a strict punishment on Jian Wushuang for the time being. I just want to know whether you heard his words." Lei Yi was stunned. He began to doubt himself. "Didn't Jian Wushuang say that he wanted me dead?" "Of course I heard him loud and clear. The supervisor ought to have heard it as well. So why is he asking me?" Confused as he was, he nodded in agreement. "I heard his words." "Good. That way you at least know why you're killed," the indigo-robed man responded with a little smile. "What?" Celestial manner Lei Yi was startled. The experts were similarly taken aback. "Since he wants you dead, then you should die," the indigo-robed man answered flatly. The moment he finished his sentence, a flash of sword light appeared. The sword light was so dazzling that it attracted the attention of all the experts present. They noticed that the indigo-robed man seemed to have turned into another person. Earlier, he looked composed and gave off no special aura. Yet his aura now was so strong and sharp that it seemed it could sabotage everything. He seemed like an invincible magic sword with an insurmountable power. In this world, no one was his equal. That brilliant sword light was eye-catching. However, it moved extremely slowly despite how brilliant and dazzling it was. Yes, it was slow. On the surface, this attack appeared slow and weak. Even an Eternal Realm expert could easily dodge this attack, never mind a Celestial or Tao Master. However, the target of the sword light, Celestial Master Lei Yi, was frozen in place. He was desperate to evade the sword light, but he realized he moved too slowly to do so. He was slow, excruciatingly so. He moved even slower than the sword light. What the hell? His expression mirrored the amazement and confusion he felt deep inside. He felt an unprecedented panic and terror overpowering his emotions. He stood there, wide-eyed as he watched the slow sword light come near. He saw it hit him before he could brandish his spear to block it. Clang! A muffled sound of collision resounded in the air, accompanying the raining of blood. Lei Yi remaining standing in place, but his life was slipping away at an amazing speed, and his cultivation disappeared instantly. Soon, He leaned backward and fell to the ground. Before he died, he was still in the dark as to why the new supervisor killed him instead of penalizing Jian Wushuang, who had offended him. Moreover, he had been unable to see clearly the execution of the supervisor's swordsmanship. It was to the point that he didn't even know why or how the swordsmanship even killed him. The sword strike shattered his organs and flesh as well as his life core. It was impossible for him to live after such an attack. Silence fell over the drill ground. The experts stared at the dead Lei Yi, looking appalled. The sword light astounded them. That's impressive. It was unknown who made the startled exclamation. Before long, commotion broke out on the drill ground. That blow. Patriarch of Empyrean glory looked at the indigo-robed man in shock. That strike was formidable indeed. Even I don't have enough confidence in warding off that blow. Celestial Manor Lei Yi had the honor to die at the supervisor's hands. Patriarch of Empyrean glory muttered, shaking his head. That blow also left a deep impression on Jian Wushuang. His eyes were filled with shock and excitement. Illusion? Yes, it's an illusion. Jian Wushuang wrung his hands. The sword appeared pitifully slow, but it was actually unimaginably swift. It was even faster than when I unleashed a sword strike, using the Aurora sword principle, at full strength. It was so fast that it formed an illusion, and that Celestial Master Lei Yi couldn't react in time, much less block or evade it. Thus, he was immediately killed. How terrifying! Jian Wushuang was also left in awe and shock after the episode. Chapter 1065, Father and Son. Chapter 1065, Father and Son. The formidable attack left the crowd in shock. To them, perhaps the legendary sword cultivator, Sunrise Sword Emperor, was the only one in the entire Green Fire world capable of surpassing the swordsmanship demonstrated earlier. Shocked as they were even more confused by the outcome of the events. Yes, they were confused. It was Jian Wushuang who made the first attack. He ought to be the one who offended the supervisor. However, the supervisor killed Celestial Master Lei Yi instead of punishing Jian Wushuang. Just what was going on? Everyone was deeply bewildered. Lord, Celestial Master Dongming from the ancient demon clan trembled with fear. There were only 3 Celestial Masters out of the entire ancient demon clan, yet this new supervisor had now killed one of them. He would have let it go if Lei Yi truly displeased or offended the new supervisor, but the supervisor had clearly acted unjustly. Dongming was furious, but didn't show it on his face. Infuriated as he was, he dared not voice it out at the thought of the supervisor's status and power. Under everyone's shocked gazes, the indigo-robed man on the throne waved his hand, and another throne appeared. The throne lined up exactly with his. He turned to look at Jian Wushuang. "Come here, boy," the man said gently, his voice carrying a hint of amicableness and familiarity. "Yes, father," Jian Wushuang answered, walking up to the supervisor. Silence fell over the drill ground when everyone heard Jian Wushuang's reply. "Father," Jian Wushuang called the supervisor. "Father? Is this new supervisor Jian Wushuang's father? Are you kidding me?" They were stunned. They were totally at a loss. Experts present had just received some information about the new supervisor. The information had been confidential, but since he was now the new supervisor, the Samsara Temple decided to reveal it. They now knew that the new supervisor was a talent who had cultivated at an unprecedented speed in the history of the Samsara Temple. It took him a mere 2,000 years to enter the 9th phase of Reincarnator. He was also said to be the Samsara Temple Master's personal disciple. He was an eye-catching and unimaginably talented person. Jian Wushuang was even more incredible, for he was an eternal realm expert who defeated a celestial master. In terms of talent, he was definitely the best in the entire green fire world. He surpassed even the supervisor. It was rare to find even a single genius like them, yet there was now two of them in this world, and they happened to be father and son. How could this be possible? Both father and son were outstanding men who had demonstrated their mighty strength. The scenario made them felt like they were dreaming. No wonder third brother failed to find his father, no matter how hard he tried. It turns out that his father is such an extraordinary figure. Su Ro thought to herself in awe. That brat is the supervisor's son? Patriarch of Empyrean glory was wide-eyed with shock. Compared to his anger, he was more relieved at the thought of escaping from death. Thank God. Thank God. Our issue has been resolved, and I kept my word not to trouble him. Even though I've indeed hunted him down before, there should be no reason for the terrifying supervisor to take revenge on me. I'll just apologize to him after the ceremony. Patriarch of Empyrean glory muttered. Untamed and unruly as he wasn't self-conceited. In fact, few could take his life in the whole green fire world. He didn't take Four Peak clans seriously, for no one among them stood a chance of killing him. The supervisor was a whole other story. Having witnessed that formidable strike, Patriarch of Empyrean glory was sure that the supervisor could take him out. Ignoring others' amazement, Jian Wushuang walked toward the supervisor and took the seat beside him. You've improved a lot, boy. In such a short time, you can even defeat a celestial master. Jian Nantian complimented his son with a smile. I'm still lacking in many ways compared to you. Father, Jian Wushuang replied with a smile. Don't compare yourself with me, for we have different experiences. Technically, you're much more excellent than me, Jian Nantian said. Oh, Jian Wushuang raised an eyebrow. Now he was full of doubts. Father's strength is far more powerful, and his cultivation rate faster too. Why did he say that? Jian Wushuang, is this really your father? Gu King asked. Of course. Jian Wushuang nodded. How could he mistake someone else as his father? Whether in terms of appearance, temperament, or the sense of familiarity, Jian Wushuang was 100% sure that the one in front of him was his father. If he's your father, then things are going to be interesting, Gu King added. What do you mean? Jian Wushuang looked confused. You said that your father was born in the ancient world 2,000 years ago, where he became the reincarnator before coming to the Samsara continent. That means he's only a little over 2,000 years old. However, from what I see, the supervisor is at least 100,000 years old. Gu King replied. What? Jian Wushuang was startled. His father was more than 10,000 years old. How is this possible? Believe me, we Plenilune clansmen are known for our self-recovery capabilities, and we're exceptionally sensitive to vitality. I'm certain that your father has lived over 100,000 years, Gu King said. How is that possible? Jian Wushuang was still in disbelief. My father is just decades older than me, a little more than 2,000 years old. How could he suddenly live over 100,000 years? It's impossible. Nothing is impossible. The world is full of surprises. Gu King laughed. If I'm not mistaken, your father must have entered a magic secret land where time moves faster than the outside world. For example, 1 year in the outside world is equivalent to 100 or even 1,000 years in the secret land. It's possible. Is that so? Jian Wushuang's eyes brightened. A secret land where the time flows differently from ours. Chapter 1066, Breaking into the Heaven-Ceasing Mountain a month later. Chapter 1066, breaking into the heaven-ceasing mountain a month later. There are a great number of experts in the eternal chaotic world. Naturally, there would be many mysterious means to improve cultivation as well. One of the methods is to change the speed of time. But only very few great experts can do that. The practitioner must reach the level of the founder of the Stars clan or of King Luozhen. Besides, he needs to have high attainment in time and space. Such a powerful secret land isn't supposed to exist in the Green Fire world, Gu King said, frowning. Ever since Gu King parasitized Jian Wushuang's body, he had encountered countless descendants of the famed Bloodlines in the eternal chaotic world during the latter's cultivation journey in the Green Fire world and the Samsara continent in particular. Though those descendants possessed incredibly weak bloodline, their ancestors had been truly powerful back in the day. Now, he had even discovered a powerful method of changing time flow. The more time passed, the more he found the Green Fire world to be extraordinary. Your father not only has a long lifespan, but also has an unusual constitution, Gu King added. His constitution. Jian Wushuang was startled. Your father is an incredible swordsman and is even more talented than you in terms of sword principle. Apart from his inborn talent, his constitution also contributes to his fast cultivation speed. If my assumption isn't wrong, his constitution must belong to the legendary sword spirit. Constitution of sword spirit? What's that? Jian Wushuang asked. Well, it's a long story. I'll explain later, Gu King answered. Okay. Jian Wushuang agreed, for he knew now wasn't the time for their conversation. When the experts knew Jian Wushuang was the supervisor's son, they understood why he chose to kill Celestial Master Lei Yi instead. Celestial Master Dongming, Jian Nantian called, looking at Dongming with his cold, deep eyes. Dongming shuddered before raising his head to look at Jian Nantian in fear. Scared as he was also occupied with other thoughts. When he heard Jian Wushuang calling the supervisor father, he finally realized the identity of the Indigo-robed Man. Lei Yi had called Jian Wushuang the son of a lowborn man, and that lowborn man was none other than Jian Nantian. 2,000 years ago, the ancient demon clan belittled the father and son and almost killed them. They've now become such powerful people. One is Jian Wushuang, and the other is the supervisor of the Samsara temple. This, Dongming was too shocked to think more. Celestial Master Dongming, it has been 2,000 years. How's the one on the heaven-ceasing peak doing? Jian Nantian asked while looking at Dongming. Well, Dongming was stunned. He then nodded and said, Fine. He's fine. Jian Nantian snorted before looking away from Dongming. Then his majestic voice resounded in everyone's ears. Thank you for coming here to celebrate my new role as the supervisor. Today I've something to announce, and hope all of you can be my witnesses. The experts present perked up their ears. Ninth Sword Dao Master of the ancient demon clan kidnapped my wife, Ji Wuming, 2,000 years ago, and locked up her on the heaven-ceasing peak since. In that time, I've become the reincarnator and almost gotten myself killed countless times. I've come here after experiencing all sorts of hardship. I and our child, Jian Wushuang, have become stronger. The time has come. It's time for us to take revenge on the ancient demon clan. My son and I will break into the heaven-ceasing peak in a month to free my wife. Whoever who gets in our way will be killed. His cold voice echoed through the drill ground. His voice that carried such firm resolution and strong killing intent frightened the crowd. Dongming's face turned deadly pale with fear. Jian Nantian and Jian Wushuang would break into the heaven-ceasing peak in a month. This explosive news triggered heated discussions among the crowd. Most of them had heard of the heaven-ceasing peak in the ancient demon clan. It was a forbidden area where even its clansmen stayed away from out of fear. It was said that only clansmen who committed flagrant crimes or made the clan suffer great loss would be imprisoned on the heaven-ceasing peak. How did Jian Wushuang's mother and the supervisor's wife end up being confined in the heaven-ceasing peak? Break into the heaven-ceasing peak. Will they wage an all-out war against the ancient demon clan? On the one hand, we have the ancient demon clan, the leader of the 4 peak clans in the Samsara continent. On the other hand, we have 2 geniuses from the Green Fire world, both of which have acquired the battle strength of a celestial master. The supervisor's strength is fathomless. What will happen when 2 huge forces fight each other? Oh God! Big event. This is going to be the most thrilling event in the Samsara continent. Everyone on the drill ground was swept into an uproar. Celestial Master Dongming, you'd better relay my words to heart-withered Celestial Master. He has a month to make a decision, Jian Nantian said, his eyes sparkling with rage. Dongming trembled as he looked up, giving Jian Nantian a momentary glance. He then made a bow with folded hands, turned around, and left the ceremony with his clansmen and Lei Yi's body. He wore a grave expression as he left. He had come to realize just how serious things had become. If this matter was handled improperly, their clan would likely suffer heavy casualties, or even get slaughtered. He could not help looking so grim. When the experts from the ancient demon clan left, Jian Nantian waved his hand again. Today is to celebrate my new role as the supervisor. Enjoy yourselves. Music followed his words, and maids and servants came in, bringing in good wine and delicious food, and placing them on the table. The feast must still go on despite the accident. However, the host of the feast left with Jian Wushuang after announcing his explosive decision. Inside a grand palace, the father and son sat opposite each other. Chapter 10:67 Constitution of Sword Spirit. Chapter 10:67 Constitution of Sword Spirit. It has been a long time. Have a drink. Jian Nantian took out a jug of wine and handed it to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang accepted the jug and took a huge swig of it without hesitation. Then he started asking his father what had happened to him in the past 2,000 years. "Father, are you really the Samsara Temple Master's personal disciple?" he asked curiously. "Yes." Jian Nantian smiled as he continued. 1,000 years ago, Master began paying attention to me after I made great breakthrough within a short time. When I became the rank 5 reincarnator, he took me in as his personal disciple. Since then, he had patiently instructed me and even sent me to a secret land at great cost. That's how I have made such rapid progress in such a short period. I see. Jian Wushuang raised an eyebrow. I intended to go to the Void Continent to seek you after freeing your mother, but I didn't expect you to find me first, Jian Nantian said with a smile. In terms of the speed of growth, Jian Wushuang was much faster than him. He was well aware of this. Owing to his experience, he was more powerful than his son now. He had narrowly escaped death many times during the tournaments in the Samsara Temple. After becoming the Samsara Temple Master's personal disciple, he had received his master's guidance on cultivation and lots of useful resources. Yet his son had improved his strength on his own. Most importantly, he had been to the secret land. He had stayed in the secret land for 1,000 years, which was equivalent to him spending 100,000 years on his cultivation. That was the reason behind his strong power and profound swordsmanship. What about Jian Wushuang? He had traveled in the Void Continent alone and gradually enhanced his strength. In the span of over 2,000 years, he grew from a little lad from the ancient world into a well-known expert in the green fire world. His growth speed was much more amazing compared to his father. Jian Wushuang, your father, who possesses the constitution of sword spirit, had great potential in cultivation. However, Gu Qing's regretful voice resounded in Jian Wushuang's mind. Go on. Jian Wushuang said, What's the constitution of sword spirit? The constitution of sword spirit is a rare constitution, Gu Qing replied. You know that magic weapons have spirits. Of course. Jian Wushuang responded with a little nod. He had learned that magic weapons possess spirits, and that the higher the magic weapon ranked, the stronger its spirit was. Magic weapons all have spirits, and some high-level ones even have their own consciousness. Gu Qing explained, when magic weapons with consciousnesses realize that they're about to be destroyed, their intelligence will escape. Most of their intelligence will vanish, while some will enter other magic weapons. The last case is the rarest one. The intelligence of the high-level magic weapon will enter a person's body and integrate with his flesh and consciousness. That's how the constitution of spirit comes to be. Your father belongs to the last case, and thus boasts the constitution of sword spirit. The intelligence of a magic sword must have combined with your father's body. Jian Wushuang looked amazed. Father owns the constitution of sword spirit because his body and a magic sword's intelligence have combined. Gu Qing then continued, the constitution of sword spirit is rare in the eternal chaotic world. Talent and potential in sword principle come instinctively to people with such constitution. You can even go as far as to say they're born to be a sword itself. They can easily fathom sword principles and are real sword principle geniuses. The sword spirit that entered your father's body is a high-level spirit, and your father was meant to make remarkable achievements. His potential was promising, though not as excellent as yours. Unfortunately, his foundation was injured when he was young, which greatly weakened his potential. Gu Qing said, shaking his head. Jian Wushuang's face darkened with disappointment. It occurred to him that his father had taken the reversal red scorching elixir to recover his strength at a critical moment in the ancient world back then. The side effect of the elixir was that his potential for cultivation would be limited, and the impact of it was great on Jian Nantian. Besides, Jian Wushuang also knew that Jiu Xiu had extracted one of his father's sword souls. One sword soul was the origin and foundation of his sword principle. The first sword soul, which Jian Nantian had awakened, was crucial to him, but it was stolen by Jiu Xiu. It was a great blow to him. The 2 consecutive injuries had greatly impaired Jian Nantian's potential in cultivation. Even so, Jian Nantian still managed to acquire such an incredible power within a short time. Obviously, he owed his impressive growth speed to his powerful sword spirit and his impressive capability. Gu Qing, is there any way to regain his lost potential? Jian Wushuang asked. No. Gu Qing shook his head. His foundation has been damaged. You know how important the foundation is. Your flawless foundation contributes to your unlimited potential for cultivation. But your father, the potential for cultivating cannot be rehabilitated. Even if his potential has been greatly weakened, he with the constitution of sword spirit is enough to impress. I can tell you with certainty that your father is destined to reach the level of Samsara Temple Master and Void Temple Master. Moreover, he'd be superior to his peers of the same level. However, that's all he could do. It's unrealistic for him to go beyond that. I see. Jian Wushuang nodded, feeling disappointed. Jian Nantian's foundation had been hurt when he was in the ancient world. There was no way of recovering it. He was doomed not to be able to stand at the summit of the eternal chaotic world. However, he could easily reach the top of the green fire world. Suddenly, Jean Nantion asked him, "Schwanger, do you know why I chose to break into the heaven-ceasing peak in a month?" "Why?" Jian Wushuang blurted out. "It'll be 2,100 years since she was taken away from us on the last day of next month. I clearly remember that. I've never forgotten that she was captured, not even for a moment." His father clasped his hands, his eyes filled with fury. Jian Wushuang was astounded. "Those whose strength has reached my level tend to ignore the lapsing of the time. Take me, for example. I don't even remember my age. Yet, father still remembers that." Chapter 1068, Holy Master of the Exceptional Realm. Chapter 1068, Holy Master of the Exceptional Realm. For 2,100 years, father has remembered the date on which mother was abducted. It shows how important mother is to father, Jian Wushuang thought to himself in amazement. 1 month. There is only 1 month left. Jian Nantion exclaimed. Jian Nantion took a sip of his wine, his vision turning sharper. "Menger, I'll pick you up in a month, and then our family will be reunited. I will go to mother's rescue in a month's time," Jian Wushuang said, his eyes glistening with resolution. While Jian Wushuang was conversing with Jian Nantion, the ancient demon clan had fallen into a state of chaos. As one of the 4 greatest clans on Samsara continent, the powerful ancient demon clan rarely experienced distress from any happenings. Today, however, the news of Holy Master Lei Yi's death and Jian Nanshan's and Jian Wushuang's plans to break into heaven-ceasing peak put the entire ancient demon clan into a state of rage and astonishment. There were only 3 Dao masters in the whole of ancient demon clan. The killing of one of them expectedly infuriated the ancient demon clansmen. Beyond their fury, they were astounded. Majority of the ancient demon clan seniors had gathered in the solemn and sizable palace. There were 3 black thrones in the palace hall. 2 were occupied by the 2 remaining holy masters in the clan, Dongming and Heartwithered, the latter of whom was the strongest in the clan. The 3rd throne belonged to Holy Master Lei Yi. Since he had died, his throne was empty. And that is what happened. Holy Master Dongming quickly summarized what had happened at the inauguration ceremony. After finishing his words, he swept his glance over the crowd. Upon hearing Holy Master Dongming's words, all the experts present wore a grave look. "Are you saying that the new supervisor of Samsara Temple is my disciple's husband, the husband that she found in the ancient world, and that well-known Jian Wushuang is their son?" Holy Master Heartwithered broke the silence with his solemn voice. "Yes," Holy Master Dongming nodded. "It can't be." Heartwithered narrowed his eyes. He could not believe this fact. "It has been a mere 2,000 years since my disciple returned from ancient world. At that time, both Jian Nantion and Jian Wushuang were as powerless as ants. I will not doubt it if only one of them had made great progress within this 2,000 years. But it's unbelievable that both of them have progressed into outstanding experts." "It's hard to believe, but it's true," Holy Master Dongming responded with a frown. Jian Nantion declared before the experts that he and his son would break into heaven-ceasing peak and spare no mercy to anyone who dared to get in their way. "We ought to think of a plan to deal with this father-son duo." Holy Master Heartwithered's face darkened with worry. Based on what Holy Master Dongming has just said, Jian Nantion and Jian Wushuang alone was able to defeat Lei Yi. Within the whole ancient demon clan, only I can bring him down. Jian Nantion is even more powerful than Jian Wushuang, and he will arrive in a month's time. Dongming, are you sure that Jian Nantian took Lei Yi's life with only one strike of his sword? Holy Master Heart Withered asked, raising his eyebrow. Yes, I am sure. I am not the only one who witnessed the scene. All the experts present did too. Jian Nantian launched only one strike with his sword, and a strange one at that. The strike looked slow and weak, but it killed Lei Yi before he could even defend himself. Holy Master Dongming replied. A slow and weak blow. Holy Master Heart Withered repeated, his forehead wrinkling into a deeper frown. The sword principle he created must be incredibly powerful. With the integration of his 3 sword principles, his dermic form of invincibility became exceptionally overwhelming. Judging from what you said, he most probably have reached the level of the Holy Master of the Exceptional Realm. Holy Master of the Exceptional Realm? Do you mean that he is as strong as you are? Holy Master Dongming asked, looking astounded. The Holy Master's strength varied, the type of sword principles cultivated, and the number of integrated principles divided the Holy Masters into several different strength levels. The Holy Masters of the elementary level were the weakest. They could barely integrate 2 principles and attain the dermic form of invincibility. Blood Azura clans, Great Elder Lin, Li, and Holy Master Ape of the 3 big countries were at this level. The elementary level was the lowest level which a Holy Master could belong to. Then there is the intermediate level. Most of the Holy Masters at this level could integrate 2 principles, which were usually of heaven or earth level. Sometimes one of the principles might even be of a creation level. Holy Masters who were able to integrate principles of higher levels were able to attain stronger dermic forms of invincibility. Xia clan's founder Xia Yong, who was slayed by Jian Wushuang in Tang of the East, and ancient demon clans Holy Masters Dongming and Lei Yi belonged to the intermediate level. Following the intermediate level was the advanced level. Holy Masters of the advanced level had integrated either 2 principles of the creation level or 3 normal principles. The Patriarch of Empyrean Glory was an advanced Holy Master with exceptional strong power. The strongest Holy Masters of all belonged to the Holy Master of the Exceptional Realm. Holy Master Heart Withered of the Ancient Demon Clan, and Su Rose Master Su Qian, the most powerful being in Blood Azura clan, were at this level. Holy Masters of this level had integrated 3 principles, and at least one of the principles is of the creation level. After being informed on how Jian Nantian had killed Lei Yi, Holy Master Heart Withered figured that Jian Nantian possessed the strength of Holy Master of the Exceptional Realm. Huge gaps exist among Holy Masters and experts of different levels. To kill a Holy Master of the intermediate level, such as Holy Master Dongming, with a single strike of the sword, one must at least have the battle strength of Holy Master of the Exceptional Realm. Even Holy Master Heart Withered had no absolute confidence in taking Holy Master Dongming out in one blow. You mentioned that Jian Nantian has the strength of Holy Master in the Exceptional Realm. Do you think he can beat you? Holy Master Dong Ming asked Holy Master Heart Withered. It's hard to say, Holy Master Heart Withered replied, shaking his head. Holy Masters at different levels differ from one another in strength. Wide gaps in power exist even within the same level. Look at Sunrise Sword Emperor, the best skilled sword cultivator in the green fire world. He is a holy master, but his real battle strength remains as a mystery. Both Sunrise Sword Emperor and I have the power of Holy Master of the Exceptional Realm, but I could not even pluck up the courage to challenge him to a duel. Perhaps Jian Nantian is not strong enough to defeat Sunrise Sword Emperor, but since he had managed to kill Lei Yi with one blow, his power is unlikely to be weaker than mine. Only a fight between us could prove whether he is able to bring me down. Chapter 1069, The Blue-Robed Woman. Chapter 1069, The Blue-Robed Woman. Even you don't think you can beat him? Holy Master Dongming could not help but frown. Yes, but even if I can't defeat him, he also can't easily bring me down. Besides, this is the stronghold of the ancient demon clan. We have the advantage of numbers. Jian Nantian said that they would come alone, so there is nothing to worry about. The Heaven-Ceasing Peak is a forbidden area in the ancient demon clan. No one has been broken the rules and entered it since our clan was founded. Jian Nantian and Jian Wushuang don't have the right to enter the forbidden ground either. He expects us to hand over her. How ridiculous! Give my order to all our clansmen to prepare for a fight. In less than a month, we must give the disrespectful father and son a good welcome. Holy Master Ku Xian's voice boomed in the palace hall. The experts of the ancient demon clan listened to him attentively, their eyes teeming with confidence. There were 3 holy masters in the clan, but Holy Master Ku Xian was the most powerful. The clansmen were convinced that Ku Xian was the ancient demon clan's best chance in the coming battle. The death of Holy Master Lei was a huge blow to the ancient demon clan. But as long as Holy Master Ku Xian was alive and well, the experts in ancient demon clan would not lose their confidence. The experts in the hall dispersed. Holy Master Ku Xian leapt into the air and soared over pine trees toward a giant mountain in the center of the ancient demon clan. Tens of thousands of meters high, the giant mountain towered in the sky. This was a breathtaking mountain, and around it were swirling scarlet currents, which encircled the entire mountain like roaring flames. This was Heaven-Ceasing Peak. It stood right in the center of the ancient demon clan, but generations of ancient demon clansmen were still in awe of the mysterious mountain. An old black tower lay at the cloud-covered summit of the Rocky Mountain. Standing at 19 stories tall, the black tower was massive. On the 19th floor of the tower, a blue-robed woman sat cross-legged on a stone bed. Only silence accompanied her in the dim, empty space atop the ancient black tower. The woman exuded elegance, and though she was middle-aged, she still looked attractive with her snow-white skin. However, the blue-robed woman was chained. Both her hands and legs wore handcuffs and fetters made of a special material. Besides, she was trapped by a restriction. Her spiritual power had been sealed, and so had her bloodline power. She had been confined to this black tower for over 2,000 years and couldn't move more than a radius of 10 meters around the stone bed. Despite her imprisonment, she was calm and composed. Of course, during the first few days of the 2,000 years, she had struggled and was almost driven to madness, but time had calmed her down. Suddenly, apprentice! A strong, old voice penetrated the restrictions on the giant mountain and passed through the black tower. It reached the blue-robed woman's ear. Master! The woman raised her head, looking calm. The Holy Master Ku Xian, standing on the void around the giant mountain, fixed his eyes on the old tower. He continued, I must inform you, a month from now, our clan will have 2 guests, Jian Nantian and Jian Wushuang. What? The blue-robed woman in the black tower jumped up excitedly. Master, you promised me. You promised to spare them as long as I stayed here to reflect upon my mistakes. You promised me. The desperate howls from the blue-robed woman echoed out from within the tower. With the yells came a forceful push from the bloodline, and Holy Master Ku Xian frowned. More than 2,000 years have passed, and she has suffered torment and pain in the Heaven-Ceasing Peak. I thought that she would have forgotten them, but she is still thrilled at the sound of their names. Holy Master Ku Xen thought remorselessly, I have kept the promise that I made to you. Since I brought you here, our clansmen have not laid hands on either of them. I punished Jiu Xiu for extracting Jian Nanshan's sword soul. We had no intention of turning against them, but now they have threatened to attack our clan. He continued with a sneer. What did you say? The blue-robed woman was stunned. Jian Nantian and Jian Wushuang are coming to attack the clan. How is this possible? I have underestimated them. I did not expect either of them to have attained such a high cultivation within 2,000 years. Now, one of them is a supervisor of the Samsara Temple. Moreover, he is likely to become the personal disciple of the Samsara Temple Master, and he has the battle strength equal to any holy master who has reached the exceptional realm. He is now my opponent. The other is your son, Jian Wushuang. Although he is only at the eternal realm level, he is so strong that he brought down Holy Master Lei. The unparalleled talents of the green fire world, of the type seen only every billion years. Besides, yesterday they announced that they will break into the heaven-ceasing peak and kill anyone who gets in their way, the Holy Master said coldly. These words also reached the blue-robed woman. She was even more astounded. How did this happen? What's going on? The woman was full of doubts. Since she chose to enter the heaven-ceasing peak, she never expected to be able to see either of them again. She hadn't even dreamed that they would come to rescue her one day. All she really wanted for them was to live a safe and peaceful life in the ancient world. But now, apprentice. After a pause, Holy Master Ku Xian continued, You already know the power of our clan and the reality of your situation. No one can save you. In a month, the battle between our clan and the two of them cannot be avoided. I promise you that I will not kill them, but I hope you can completely erase them from your mind this time. This is the best solution for our clan as well as for them. Chapter 1070, Arrival. Chapter 1070, Arrival. I'm done here. The decision is your own. Holy Master Ku Xian glanced at the old black tower, shook his head, and left with a sigh. In the tower, the blue-robed woman stood there with desperation in her eyes. She murmured, Nantian, Schwanger, how are you? A month ago, Jian Nantian announced that he would break into heaven-ceasing peak at his inauguration ceremony. The news had already spread throughout the whole Samsara continent. The month was up. The enormous void of the ancient demon clan was filled with people. Most experts in the Samsara continent had gathered. The other 3 peak populations, other strong clans from divine monster territory, many solitary experts, such as the Patriarch of Empyrean Glory and the Duke of Ghost, inner elders and gold-clothed deacons from the Samsara temple all gathered here to watch their fight. The whole void was buzzing. Many people privately call the ancient demon clan the most powerful population in the Samsara continent. The clan boasts of vast strength and an extensive army, but this time the ancient demon clan has angered a formidable opponent. The supervisor of the Samsara temple killed Holy Master Lei with just 1 strike. He must have the strength of a holy master of the exceptional realm. In the entire ancient demon clan, perhaps only Holy Master Ku Xian is his match. This time, the ancient demon clan will be in grave danger. I don't think so. I heard that this supervisor is bringing his son, which means that he will not mobilize all the experts of the Samsara temple. It is only the 2 of them fighting. They are strong, but they can't defeat the entire ancient demon clan. In any case, this battle will be vicious. This is certain. I only hope that the ancient demon clan will not concede. It won't be interesting if them release the prisoner as soon as the supervisor and Jian Wushuang arrive. That's not going to happen. The heaven-ceasing peak is important to the ancient demon clan. They won't hand over the prisoner unless they have no other choice. Besides, have you noticed the formation over there? They have already activated it, which means they are going to use it to defend themselves against their enemy. This formation seems to be very powerful, more than just strong. This is the clan-defending formation of the ancient demon clan. It is said that there is no way to break it unless several holy masters of the exceptional realm join forces. The void became noisy with gossiping voices. At this moment, two figures appeared in the distance, striding towards the ancient demon clan shoulder to shoulder. Silence swept through the crowd. Countless eyes looked on in awe and admiration. They both carried long swords and radiated a strong sense of power. Jian Nantian is the new supervisor of the Samsara Temple. It is said that he is the personal disciple of the Samsara Temple Master. The other is Jian Wushuang. He may only be of the Eternal Realm, but there is no doubting his power. The father and son have finally arrived. No one breathed. After the inauguration ceremony held a month ago, Jian Nantian's and Jian Wushuang's reputation had spread across the continent. The two prodigies, who happened to be father and son, shocked the crowd. Under the scrutiny of the crowd, Jian Wushuang and Jian Nantian arrived at the void above the ancient demon clan. Through the grand formation, they saw everyone within the ancient demon clan. They saw a lot of experts in ancient demon clan who had gathered there, and their leader, who was a white-haired elder within the formation. Is he the Holy Master Ku Xian? Jian Wushuang wondered, fixing his eyes on the white-haired elder. Jian Wushuang had heard a lot about Holy Master Ku Xian, who was of the exceptional realm. He was the most powerful expert in the green fire world under the Samsara Temple Master, the Temple Master of Void, and the Tang Emperor. The several holy masters he had fought against, including the strongest one, the Patriarch of Empyrean Glory, were not even qualified to be Holy Master Ku Xian's opponent. Apart from Holy Master Ku Xian, Jian Wushuang did not fear other experts of the ancient demon clan, not even including Holy Master Dongming. He also considered the formation that was the pride of the ancient demon clan. The ancient demon clan must have a lot of strength. Otherwise, they couldn't have survived so long as one of the 4 peak populations of the Samsara continent. They even deployed their clan-defending formation. It seems that they are not going to yield to us, Jian Wushuang said with a cold laughter. I assumed so. Calm and determined, Jian Nantian took a step forward and faced off against Holy Master Ku Xian across the large formation. Holy Master Ku Xian, have you made your decision? Jian Nantian said, staring at him. Of course I have, Holy Master Ku Xian answered, his gaze landing on Jian Nantian. Jian Nantian, you are the supervisor of the Samsara Temple now. If there was any other way, we, the ancient demon clan, wouldn't dare to offend you. But the prisoner in Heaven-Ceasing Peak holds great importance to us. It's impossible to hand her over to you. Then we have nothing left to say, Jian Nantian responded in a calm voice. As soon as he finished his sentence, his long sword rushed out of his saber, and light streaked across his long sword. The sword light was cold, dazzling. Most importantly, it still moved slowly as if it might not harm its target. The experts narrowed their eyes when they saw the sword light. They clearly remembered that Jian Nantian had directly struck Holy Master Lei Yidown with this technique easily at his inauguration ceremony a month ago. Even Holy Master Ku Xian frowned at the sight of this strange sword light, but he was not frightened. Slow as the sword light looked, it actually was moving at a very rapid speed. The force of the sword fell directly onto the clan-defending formation. However, it only caused several ripples on the formation. Then the light from the blow vanished. "What?" Jian Nantian muttered, a hint of surprise flashing through his eyes. "How can this be?" Many experts behind Jian Wushuang were shocked by the scene. They all knew the power of Jian Nantian's light sword. A holy master had died under this attack. However, this formidable sword light had failed to cause any damage to the formation. That formation was indestructible. Chapter 1071, The Battle Formation of Ancient Gods. Chapter 1071, The Battle Formation of Ancient Gods. Interesting. Jian Nantian studied the formation laid out before him, his eyes glimmering intently. Gazing coldly at Jian Nantian from within the formation, the celestial master Ku Xian said, "You have underestimated us of the ancient monster clan, Jian Nantian. Long have our clan endured the turmoils and strifes of the Samsara continent. Our might is unfathomable by the likes of you. This invincible protective array will never be broken without the help of several celestial masters of the exceptional realm. Did you not say that you are going to trample past our defenses and step triumphantly upon the peaks of the heaven-ceasing mountain? It seems that you could hardly even make it past the gates of the ancient monster clan." The celestial master Ku Xian taunted proudly, with brimming conceit. The warriors of his kin who were just beside him looked as proud and arrogant as he was. The protective array was one of the heirlooms of the ancient monster clan since the yesteryears. Celestial masters, be they common ones or those who were already of the exception realm, could never hope to be able to break the formation on their own. With the utmost confidence in their formation, they were assured that Jian Nantian and Jian Wushuang would be thwarted here. "The formation is powerful indeed," Jian Nantian admitted truthfully, his chin nodding faintly as he began to smile. "Still, do you honestly believe that the formation alone would be able to hinder me?" As he spoke, Jian Nantian waved his hand and conjured a magical token. Everyone's gaze instantly transfixed upon the token he held. Everyone nearby could clearly feel the terrible power radiating from the magical token. Long ago, the Samsara master took me in as his disciple. He had then presented this to me as a safeguard against perils. Much I have endured through the years of my adventures here. Most, if not all of them, were so perilous that I could have long lost my life. Yet I have intentionally resisted from using this token. Long have I knew that I will surely encounter a conundrum like this. Despite speaking slowly, the echoes of Jian Nantian's voice slowly resonating into the air. It may be true that the ancient monster clan's protective array can only be broken by the combined might of several celestial masters of the exceptional realm. But this magical token contains the strength of my teacher's might. The powers of my teacher will test the sturdiness of your formation. With that, Jian Nantian immediately crushed the token in his hand. The terrible power contained within the token burst forth immediately like a surging flood. The power, well far beyond the levels of Celestial Master, has reached levels where not could imagine. Jian Nantian immediately harnessed the powers that pour forth, conjuring a gigantic silhouette in the shape of a massive quarterstaff, so huge that it might even destroy all heaven and earth. Without any warning, the mammoth silhouette fell mercilessly upon the formation. Watching as the silhouette of the colossal quarterstaff crashing over them, the celestial master Ku Xian and his warriors could only brace themselves for the worst, their breaths held absent-mindedly as fear and panic gripped them. Such are the powers of a single stroke by the Samsara Temple Master. Gasps of shock grew across the throng of warriors that lingered around in the air. The Samsara Temple Master, a legendary entity of esteemed divinity and absolute strength, whose powers were undoubtedly beyond the leagues of celestial masters. The power from a stroke from him, even if it is a careless stroke, would most unquestionably outvie even the unified might of several celestial masters of the exceptional realm. Then again, would the universally feared protective array of the ancient monster clan be so easily defeated by a single stroke of the Samsara Temple Master? Most certainly, yes. The gigantic silhouette of the jet-black quarterstaff smashed forcefully into the diaphanous ambient gleaming over the formation, the power of its stroke immediately bursting forth with unnerving intensity. When struck by Jian Nantian with his sword earlier, the formation had merely shuddered with tremors rippling from the point of his sword's impact. Yet now, smote with such fury, the formation trembled so strongly that it began to give way. Cracking noises could be heard from within as if something was breaking and snapping apart. With an astonishing speed, the formation began to crumble. The formation was broken. The protective array of the ancient monster clan broke asunder before the callous stroke of the Samsara Temple Master. The formation collapsed, revealing the horde of the ancient monster clan that cowered within, now completely exposed before Jian Nantian and Jian Wushuang. The celestial master Ku Xian and the warriors of the ancient monster clan all wore a dejected expression for the failure. Never did they expect that Jian Nantian would possess such means of undoing them. It was hardly unexpected that the formation could not withstand the stroke of the Samsara Temple Master. So you were able to break the formation of our clan? A cold voice rose into the air. It was the celestial master Ku Xian who had spoken. Rage was burning in his eyes like a huge bonfire. Never will we cower from a fight with or without the formation. The ancient monster clan teams with warriors and swordsmen of power and strength. You have only the strength of you both. Why should we be afraid of you? Ancient god guardians, answer my call. The roar of the celestial master Ku Xian rumbled loudly with anger. 9 figures leaped from the midst of the horde of warriors of the ancient monster clan and stood before her. The 9 persons were all Dao masters. The aura emanating from them showed that each of them wielded varying levels of strength between them. The most powerful of them were Dao masters at the peak of rank 3, while the lesser ones among them were fresh Dao masters. Nevertheless, it was strange that all 9 men bore the very same aura of their bloodline, that one could have mistaken that they were one and the same person. The battle formation of ancient gods. The celestial master Ku Xian snarled. The 9 ancient god guardians standing abreast send forth a burst of their bloodline power. The force gushed forcefully, with all the wrath the guardians could muster and blended as one as the 9 figures of the ancient god guardians began to change. What's that? A battle formation? Or is that a magical formation? What a peculiar magical formation. One what functions using bloodline powers. Surprised gasps and cries arose from the midst of warriors who were witnessing the battle from the sky. The 9 ancient god guardians had together formed a powerful battle formation, channeling their powers and summoned into form the gargantuan figure of a behemoth, an ancient god that towered at more than hundreds of feet before the 9. The ancient god's complexion was chiefly of silver, with only a 2/10 of his appearance blushing in gold. In addition, at the forehead of the ancient god, between his eyebrows, were the symbols of 4 quadrangular stars that were inverted. A 4-star ancient god. It was a 4-star ancient god whose strength rivaled that of a celestial master of the human race. Buzz. A huge and terrifying aura radiated from the monstrous figure of the 4-star ancient god, filling the entire space between heaven and earth immediately that many of the warriors present could not help feeling fearful at the sheer power it wielded. What a strong and overwhelming aura. The aura is of the levels of Celestial Master. In fact, the levels of one of the most powerful Celestial Masters. So the 9 Tao Masters form a battle formation and unify their powers to replicate the battle strength of a Celestial Master. This is incredibly powerful. What is the name of this battle formation? Everyone was ridden with shock, amazement, and awe. There was an enormous difference between the powers of a Tao Master and that of a Celestial Master. The combined strength of 9 Tao Masters, even if they were of the peak of rank 3, could never be able to hope to match the battle strength of a Celestial Master. But the 9 ancient God Guardians, despite their varying strength, were able to conjure the gigantic figure of an ancient god whose powers were so great that even the strength of a fresh Celestial Master paled in comparison. What was this battle formation that wielded such power and prowess? Chapter 1072, The Dominance of Bloodlines. Chapter 1072, The Dominance of Bloodlines. The battle formation relies on the fusion of the bloodline powers of all 9 of them. There were rumors that there existed 2 bloodlines in the ancient monster clan. More than 9/10 of the clan was of the heavenly demon bloodline, the bloodline which powers and potentials have been greatly, if not fully, awakened. But the one other bloodline, which is rarer even among their kin, is the ancient god bloodline. Bearers of the ancient god bloodline command great power and potential as well, but there have only a handful of them who have been known to bear this very bloodline and have begun to awaken its powers. Hence, I would hazard that the 9 ancient god guardians are, in fact, Tao Masters who have awakened the bloodline of the ancient gods. The voice was issued from the midst of the crowd of warriors watching the battle, although none knew whom. But the narration had shed much light that many finally understood what was going on. The Celestial Master Ku Xian stood in the midst of the horde of the ancient monster clan, his face grave and sullen. The battle formation of ancient gods is also an heirloom that has been passed down through generations since the birth of the ancient monster clan. It is one of our most potent secret weapons, which has invincible might and power. Unfortunately, only those who have awakened the ancient god bloodline is able to wield it. The kins of the ancient monster clan have always been predominantly of the heavenly demon bloodline. It is a pity that we have only so few kinsmen who bore the bloodline of the ancient gods even after years and years of our painstaking efforts. Only 6 of our Tao Masters. If only we have more Tao Masters in the clan who bear this mighty bloodline, we would have been able to conquer even the 3 principal populations of this continent with the help of this battle formation. The gaze of the Celestial Master, Ku Xian, turned frosty. It is a pity indeed to have so few of our kin to have awakened the ancient god bloodline. The Celestial Master thought quietly, as one of the 4 principal populations of the Samsara continent, the ancient monster clan commanded immense strength, which forces were largely bolstered by the horde of Tao Masters the clan was proud to have. Then again, from the innumerable horde of their Tao Masters, the ancient monster clan has but only 6 of their kin who have awakened the bloodline of the ancient gods. The battle formation would have been stronger if the clan was able to field more Tao Masters with the ancient god bloodline. But with only 6 Tao Masters, the power of the battle formation would barely reach the strengths of a Celestial Master. Hence, so as to prepare themselves for this confrontation, the ancient monster clan have exhausted much of their resources to elevate another 3 eternal realm warriors to the ranks of Tao Masters in order to assemble the force of the 9 ancient god guardians. With the combined powers of the 9, the battle formation of ancient gods was able to reach a greater limit. This battle formation is remarkable to Jian Nantion grinned thinly as he observed the formation before him. But a figure stepped before him before he could act. "Leave this to me, father," Jian Wushuang said calmly. "Oh." Jian Nantion's brows twitched curiously. He nodded at once. He withdrew further to the back. Jian Wushuang raised his head and looked up at the gargantuan figure of the ancient god, which was conjured by the battle formation. A 4-star silver-armored ancient god. Jian Wushuang smirked, channeling his bloodline powers. Jian Wushuang's body began to grow rapidly, rising up into great heights that he almost filled the space between sky and earth. His height rose close to 1,000 meters tall, dwarfing even the silver-armored ancient god, which was only a meager few hundreds of meters tall. Like a huge mountain, Jian Wushuang's monstrous figure, although still clad in his blood-red robes, shone with a luster of gold. But the debate and attention of everyone watching the fight were upon his forehead. As clear as the glittering stars in a dark night, upon Jian Wushuang's forehead were the symbols of 3 reversed quadrangular stars. Despite being only 3, the quadrangular stars were all shining with sparkles of dark golden luminance. Jian Wushuang's dark golden eyes looked into the air as they flared with rage from within. Roar! A furious roar thundered from his throat, releasing a shock wave that rippled forth as the echoes of his booming voice trembled through the air as if they would never fade. With his deafening roar, Jian Wushuang had also released a burst of his enormous bloodline powers that swept forth towards the figure of the ancient god of the battle formation with the force of a powerful storm. The 100 feet tall figure of the ancient god shivered slightly, showing signs of imminent collapse. The 9 ancient god guardians who were strenuously sustaining the battle formation immediately felt a huge pressure pummeling at them, a powerful force that could have only came from bloodline powers. It was a pressure so terrible and unstoppable, an overwhelming force that battered ceaselessly and furiously at the bloodline they bore. Dang! 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 Forced by the powerful shockwave, the figure of the lesser ancient god lost its footing finally, staggering a few steps backward at being driven by the strong tide. This left everyone who was watching the battle awestruck and speechless, including the warriors of the ancient monster clan. What is happening? It is the dominance in the hierarchy, the relationship of superiority and inferiority between their bloodlines. Jian Wushuang possesses the bloodline of the ancient gods, but his bloodline is purer and stronger than that of the warriors of the ancient monster clan that sustained the battle formation. Everyone present could only gulp hard with disbelief. Much excitement was stirred in ancient monster clan. Dark Golden, a dark golden ancient god. Is the legendary imperial ancient god. Is this even possible? In spite of their combined effort, the 9 ancient god guardians can only summon a silver-armored ancient god. But Jian Wushuang bears the bloodline of the imperial ancient gods. Who was the foolish wretch who had sneered that Jian Wushuang was only born with only a lowly bloodline? Lowly? Nay, this is the bloodline of the imperial ancient god, a variant of the ancient god bloodline of the highest order. There have still been a number of the kins of the ancient monster clan who had been able to invoke the bloodline of the ancient gods, but none have been known to have achieved a bloodline of such excellence. Jian Wushuang's bloodline is undoubted the purest ancient god bloodline, even in the ancient monster clan. With the bloodline of such greatness, alas, he should have been one of our kin, one of the ancient monster clan. Riotous roars and angry cries rose from the midst of the warriors of the ancient monster clan. Silence! The celestial master, Ku Exian, snarled, not being able to hold back his rage. Finally, however, Even he was extremely shocked himself despite his best efforts to silence his emotions. The celestial master's eyes glared sharply ahead. Be that as it may, he is merely a 3-star ancient god, a strength with equals only the class of Tao Master. The ancient god of the battle formation is an ancient god of 4 stars. There is no doubt that our ancient god wields greater strength than Jian Wushuang. Strike now, battle formation of ancient gods. The celestial master Ku Xian shouted at once. Faithful to his commands, the hulking silver-armored ancient god of the battle formation began to move. Dong! 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 The silver-armored ancient god leaped into action, its every step spanning almost 500 kilometers as it sped at Jian Wushuang. As it rushed at its quarry, its aura began to rise, mounting higher and higher as it gradually reached its peak. A 4-star silver-armored ancient god. Let us put our strengths to a test then. Jian Wushuang growled, his eyes glowing with a yearn for blood. He too threw himself forward, rushing forward to meet his adversary. The 2 gigantic behemoths, each radiating with destructive auras from their bloodline powers, charged forward. At the center of the site of their battle, the 2 titanic beings crashed into each another. Chapter 1073, Battle of Ancient Gods. Chapter 1073, Battle of Ancient Gods. Humph! With a rumbling snort, Jian Wushuang channeled his ancient god powers that began to accumulate in his right fist. A faint golden glow surrounded his fist. Without warning, his fist smote forth, releasing all the powers held within. The silver-armored ancient god, conjured by the battle formation of ancient gods, threw a powerful punch of its own. The 2 gigantic fists clashed, fists hit head-to-head. With brute force reciprocated with brute force, the 2 fists met. Such was the contest of feral ferocity. Bang! With a huge bang, the massive forces wielded by them both erupted like a powerful detonation. The air surrounding the frightening crash was distorted by the sheer force that their clashing fists had caused, a long and huge space rift. An anomaly in the continuum of time and space tore open immediately, spreading like the diaphanous webs of spiders, and began to stretch for thousands of kilometers wide. The resultant effects of the first bout of their gargantuan showdown had shuddered and unrattled everyone watching the battle, as many kept their breaths held nervously. In the thick of the action at the site of their battle, Jian Wushuang's expression turned heavy as he was thrown backward, careening away for more than a few steps. But the silver-armored ancient god lurched, only took 3 steps away. How is this possible? The host of warriors of the ancient demon clan were all surprised and astonished. The silver-armored ancient god conjured by the 9 ancient god guardians was of a level of 4 stars when Jian Wushuang, in spite of bearing the bloodline of the imperial ancient god, was nevertheless only a 3-star ancient god. It was expected that he would be outmatched in strength, but Jian Wushuang had shown himself only to be slightly lesser in terms of raw power. What many did not notice was that Jian Wushuang was wearing his blood-killing plate armor. The plate armor had helped increase his powers by more than 10-fold, elevating his strength to the levels of a celestial master. Here I come again, Jian Wushuang bellowed, hardly defeated by the failure of his first attempt to put down his foe, his colossal figure once again pushing forward for another attack. Likewise, the silver-armored ancient god conjured by the battle formation rushed forward too. The huge giants sped towards each other for the second bout of their fight. Bang! 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 Without using his skills of swordsmanship, Jian Wushuang engaged his adversary in a melee fist fight, showing the entire plethora of his skills in hand-to-hand close-quarters combat. Having spent some time among the ancient god clan, he was no stranger to scuffles and skirmishes against the ilk of ancient gods. Hence he was well familiar with their way and fashion of combat. Even without the use of any weapons, he could easily unleash his ancient god powers. But the same could not be said for the ancient god conjured by the 9 god guardians. Even though the 9 god guardians have awakened the bloodline of the ancient gods, they were neither skilled nor accustomed to the methods ancient gods fought. Most importantly, the 3 hastily added Tao masters were hardly acquainted with working cohesively with the other 6 in the battle formation. The lack of chemistry between them all could hardly unleash the greatest potential of the powerful battle formation. Despite wielding strengths that equaled to a celestial master of moderate proficiency, the flaws of the 9's unity hindered the ancient god of their conjuration to only 7/10 of its true strength. Furthermore, Jian Wushuang's more superior imperial ancient god bloodline had been affecting the 9 ancient divine guard, inflicting upon them a tormenting agony. Hampered and crippled from reaching true power, the silver-armored ancient god fell into a great disadvantage in the battle. Ha ha ha! Begone you! Jian Wushuang emitted a huge roaring laughter, taking a huge stride with a spring in his step and dashed closer to the silver-armored ancient god. He rammed into the torso of the ancient god with his shoulder, throwing it off its feet as it fell backward. Despite having the powers of a 4-star silver-armored ancient god, it was not being able to fully display its strength. This is turning into an uninteresting fight. Jian Wushuang shook his head, losing his interest to continue the duel. Without any more desire to tarry longer with the silver-armored ancient god, Jian Wushuang's eyes glared with a sharp flash, mustering his ancient god power upon his right index finger. There were, nonetheless, great differences between the simulated strengths of an ancient god and Jian Wushuang, who has the powers of a true ancient god. These included the skills and techniques of combat, the chemistry and cohesiveness among the members manning the battle formation, as well as the ultimate skills and secret skills of the ancient gods. With enough powers accumulated in his forefinger, Jian Wushuang thrust his finger forward swiftly. The first finger of ancient gods, barrier-breaking. Jian Wushuang's voice thundered as he cast forth his stroke. A gigantic golden finger, with an aura so powerful and terrifying, fell from the sky. The giant golden finger seemed as if it had traveled through time from the ancient past, bearing a presence both staggering and archaic, immediately smiting heavily upon the silver-armored ancient god. The silver-armored ancient god mustered all the ancient god power it could swiftly call upon, trying to strike at the finger in an act of defiance. Yet still, there came a huge boom that was followed by a deathly silence. The silver-armored ancient god was being sent flying into the air by the force of the stroke. As it fell and collapsed, the ancient god powers it held instantly plummeted. The conjuration was clearly faltering. The 9 ancient god guardians crumbled, each of them spatting mouthfuls of blood themselves. Unable to withstand Jian Wushuang's assault, the silver-armored ancient god's aura immediately plunged, the last ounces of its strength and vigor on the verge of disintegrating. It is still intact after suffering a blow from me. Jian Wushuang sneered. He began to accumulate more ancient god powers into his right forefinger once more. Let us see if it can suffer another stroke from me. Malice and wrath flashed in Jian Wushuang's eyes. Seeing this, the celestial master Ku Xian could wait no longer. With a dismal frown, he called, "Strike fast, Dongming! The battle formation of ancient gods is faltering." Me. Standing beside Celestial Master Ku Xian, Celestial Master Winter Whistleface fell in dismay. Leaping into the fight to help the 9 ancient god guardians now would only show that the ancient monster clan was fighting unfairly, it would turn into a clear contest of numbers. But Celestial Master Winter Whistle knew better than to hesitate. The urgency of the situation demanded his immediate intervention. Whoosh! Celestial Master Winter Whistle transformed into a scarlet flash of light, lunging forward dangerously, as speedily as he could. Ah! Jian Wushuang had raised his right forefinger, ready to inflict the final blow to destroy the silver-armored ancient god and claim his victory, when he noticed the red flash of light dashing towards him speedily. Celestial Master Winter Whistle! Jian Wushuang's lips curled into a grin. Uneasy murmurs and agitated cries arose from the midst of the warriors watching at the battle. Is that Celestial Master Winter Whistle? Does he intend to join in the fight? The battle formation of ancient gods has possessed a Celestial Master's battle strength. The addition of Celestial Master Winter Whistle would only become a contest of numbers. Humph! Jian Wushuang is nevertheless a warrior who is only of the eternal realm. This is hardly unreasonable that the ancient monster clan intends to react as thus. Humph! Do you seriously think that Jian Wushuang is still of the eternal realm? Look at him. He is already a 3-star ancient god. That would mean he has the powers of at least a Tao master. The whispers and murmurs in the crowd turned into an audible chatter of discussion from the sight of the battle. Yet Jian Wushuang beamed cheerfully. So be it then, you can come and me together. As he finished, Jian Wushuang's aura sword immediately, and his trusty blade, the Blood Mountain sword, appeared in his hand. Chapter 1074. Two original bodies show up together. Chapter 1074. Two original bodies show up together. Turning into a scarlet flowing light, Celestial Master Winter Whistle appeared in front of Jian Wushuang, while silver-armored ancient god approached from a different direction. The two holy masters combined their battle strength, but Jian Wushuang was not afraid at all. When the battle intent was skyrocketing, he took a step and drew a blood moon in the void with the Blood Mountain sword in his hand. All those were finished in a flash. Celestial Master Winter Whistle was holding a saber. Before he could take any action, the blood moon drawn by Jian Wushuang had drawn near. How could it be so fast? Celestial Master Winter Whistle was slightly surprised, and he waved the saber immediately. The blade light swept across the void like a thunderbolt. The explosive power of it smashed the void after meeting Jian Wushuang's sword light. 9 waves. Celestial Master Winter Whistle spoke coldly, and then he let out a chilly blade light. The ripples spread toward Jian Wushuang, and he felt as if he was being drawn into the deepest sea. That's so weird. Jian Wushuang frowned. He could feel that the ripples were actually layers of chilly blade light. The blade light was surging toward him endlessly like crazy, which was extremely weird. Jian Wushuang had to resort to his sharp sword. The power of 3-sword principle was put into full play. Clang, 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 clang. 9 crashes sounded one after another, and the 9 crashes were completed in the blink of an eye. Under the impact, Jian Wushuang himself was forced to take a step back. At this moment, a chilly wind came to Jian Wushuang's ears. He turned his head immediately and saw that silver-armored ancient god formed from battle formation had appeared behind him. A tough fist punched the back of his head. Jian Wushuang turned around suddenly, and there was a cold flash in his eyes. The Blood Mountain sword struck like lightning. This sword was the Death Shadow sword. Although the echo of the sword had just spread, the consciousness attack already exerted power on the silver-armored ancient god, and then passed on to the 9 ancient god guards in no time. The 9 ancient god guards were merely at the level of Tao Master, suffering the consciousness attack. All of them became unconscious. silver-armored ancient god stopped moving as well. Get lost! Jian Wushuang's sword swept across silver-armored ancient god's arm and cut off a large piece of flesh formed from ancient god power. He then kicked him away, and the huge, silver-armored ancient god immediately flew backward. As soon as Jian Wushuang repelled silver-armored ancient god, he found that a silent blade light had appeared by his side. Jian Wushuang's pupils contracted. The blade light came so quickly and quietly that he did not have enough time to fend against it with his sword. He could hardly hold the Blood Mountain sword at his chest. Clang! The blade light crushed on the Blood Mountain sword, and a terrible force was passed on Jian Wushuang. Suddenly he was knocked back. Jian Wushuang was unable to steady himself until he had been flung back 10,000 li. Raising his head again, he saw Celestial Master Winter Whistle standing side by side with silver-armored ancient god, both of whom had an extremely strong aura. I was being negligent. When the two medium holy masters combined their battle strength, indeed, I cannot withstand them. Jian Wushuang smiled. He knew that, at this moment, even if he was facing a medium holy master, it would be strenuous for him. Whether he could win or not was uncertain. However, it was beyond his ability to win against the two medium holy masters who had joined hands. I cannot withstand them alone, but what if there were two of me? Jian Wushuang sniggered secretly. As he moved his body, a black-robed figure appeared by his side. The countenance and aura were exactly the same as Jian Wushuang's was his slaughter body. Is that a doppelganger? All the experts looked at Jian Wushuang, and some of them frowned. Usually, the doppelganger was no match for the original body in terms of strength. The strength of Jian Wushuang's original body was in defiance of the natural order, and it was comparable to that of a medium holy master. However, they did not believe that Jian Wushuang's doppelganger was also in defiance of the natural order. Normally, the doppelganger of Jian Wushuang had the battle strength of a Dao master at most, but relying on a Dao master's battle strength, he was not even qualified to join such a battlefield. Jian Wushuang sensed that the people who were watching were astonished and doubtful. He sneered, not caring about their reaction. How could those people know his ability when they were ignorant of the heavenly creation skill and the potential of inverse cultivation? Buzz. As the vast aura rose, the bloodline power of Jian Wushuang's slaughter body surged furiously. The next moment, he turned into a huge, dark gold ancient god. At the same time, the flowing lights went out of Jian Wushuang's interspatial ring. There were a total of 72 flowing lights. The flowing lights combined perfectly in the void and then turned into a purple lightsaber. The lightsaber was the result of Jian Wushuang's perfect practice of the second step of Ninth Heaven Sword formation. My slaughter body has the same battle strength as my world body. The difference is that my world body possesses two treasures, namely the blood-killing plate armor and the Blood Mountain sword, which enable my strength to reach a new level. Jian Wushuang had a dignified expression. Blood-killing plate armor and Blood Mountain sword had a great impact on his strength. However, he could only provide the two treasures to his original body. The slaughter body is not equipped with blood-killing plate armor or Blood Mountain sword. However, resorting to the top 3-star Imperial Kinsman's ancient god power, combined with the Ninth Heaven Sword formation, the battle strength will reach the Holy Master level. In addition to Ancient God's killing strategy, he is competent enough to fight against silver-armored Ancient God. Jian Wushuang's eyes flashed sharply. His rivals were Celestial Master Winter Whistle and silver-armored Ancient God. Celestial Master Winter Whistle had reached the solid battle strength of a medium holy master, which was no weaker than celestial master Lei Yi. However, silver-armored ancient god was not able to fully exert his strength, hence he was weaker than celestial master Winter Whistle. My world body's battle strength was stronger than that of celestial master Winter Whistle. A quarter of an hour would be enough for me to defeat him. Jian Wushuang glanced at his slaughter body. It is just a quarter of an hour. I will handle it. The slaughter body nodded. Let's start, Jian Wushuang muttered, and immediately the two original bodies moved at the same time. Die! Celestial Master Winter Whistle had a gloomy complexion. As soon as Jian Wushuang's two original bodies moved, he rushed toward them along with silver-armored ancient god. Soon, the two sides clashed with each other head-to-head. Jian Wushuang held the Blood Mountain sword with soaring sword essence. He blocked Celestial Master Winter Whistle and produced a shining sword light to strike him. The slaughter body had a cold expression. He was gathering enormous ancient god power in his hand and applied the ancient god first finger, which struck silver-armored ancient god. Suddenly, there was a sharp and piercing wind-breaking sound. The purple lightsaber exerted by the Ninth Heaven Sword formation also struck its object with breathtaking speed. Chapter 1075, Defeat. Chapter 1075, Defeat. The shining sword light carried the terrifying power of the sun. This was Heaven's Bane of the creative Scarlet Yang sword principle that Jian Wushuang had tailored for himself. As the terrific power burst, Celestial Master Winter Whistle wielded his saber instantly. The saber technique was also outrageous. After the two powers collided, Celestial Master Winter Whistle quivered and sank slightly. 9 waves. Celestial Master Winter Whistle displayed the creepy saber technique again. Jian Wushuang felt as if he was floating in the sea, and the endless waves were striking him again and again. One force break all techniques, break it now. Jian Wushuang had cold eyes and a ferocious expression. Suddenly the power of the Blood Mountain sword in his hand skyrocketed. It was still Heaven's Bane, but this time the power was clearly greater. Bump! The endless waves were pushed to either side, and the whole sea seemed to be completely split into 2 halves. How could it be? Celestial Master Winter Whistle was astonished. Jian Wushuang then took a step, and the Death Shadow sword swept across like lightning. On the other side, Jian Wushuang's slaughter body was in a fierce fight with silver-armored ancient god. Both of them had a huge body. However, without blood-killing plate armor, the slaughter body was less powerful than silver-armored ancient god. While he kept fighting against silver-armored ancient god, he could only rely on the killing strategies and combine them with the Ninth Heaven Sword formation. The Ninth Heaven Sword formation was ferocious and had an amazing speed. It trapped silver-armored ancient god in a short time. The two battlefields were fierce. Onlooking experts in the distance were shocked. Boy, is this the actual strength of Jian Wushuang? It's spectacular. Jian Wushuang is so strong. Both the original body and the doppelganger are so aggressive. Although his ancient god power had reached 3rd star level, his cultivation of spiritual power was only in the eternal realm. His battle strength is already so strong. How would it be when he becomes a Tao master? Jian Wushuang has already carved out his own path, and there is more than one, but he hasn't reached Tao master. What is he planning? He wants to be stronger. When he reaches the level of Tao master one day, he will have greater strength and potential. This guy is really a monster. Exclamations were heard from the onlookers. Jian Wushuang's strength made everyone witnessing the battle exclaim. He was too dazzling. such an exceptional genius. The strength he showed did not seem to be in the eternal realm. It was hard to believe that a guy who was only about 2,000 years old could possess such strength. This guy, Jian Nantian, had been standing silently in the void, looking at the battlefield ahead. He had been watching from the start, though he looked indifferent and serene. A trace of a smile was concealed in his heart. He was obviously proud that his son had so much strength at such a young age. Schwanger is much more outstanding than I am. There are many things that I am not able nor eligible to achieve, but he is. I still have Menger, who is also his concern and will impose an impact on his growth. When this event comes to an end, I will travel across the green fire world with Menger and live a peripatetic life without any concern. It'll be up to him how far he could go. Jian Nantian had much expectation of Jian Wushuang's future. He knew very well that his own potential had been suppressed too much in his junior period, which damaged his foundation. He had lost the ability to mount to the peak of the eternal chaotic world, but Jian Wushuang would be able to achieve it. Jian Nantian shook his head and did not think much about it. His eyes turned cold again, and then he glanced at Celestial Master Ku Xian in the camp of the ancient monster clan. As if sensing Jian Nantian's gaze, Celestial Master Ku Xian looked straight back at him. Jian Nantian moved. Step by step, he moved forward slowly. Each step caused some ripples in the void, as if tablets of stone were dropped into a lake. The ripples kept expanding. The entire world was in complete silence, aside from Jian Wushuang, who was in a heated fight with Celestial Master Winter Whistle and silver-armored Ancient God. All of the experts were attracted by the ripples. They could not stop looking at Jian Nantian. Jian Nantian was indifferent and detached before, but now he had changed. He had completely changed. Under everyone's gaze, he turned from a mass of air into a lofty sword mountain emitting enormous sword essence. The sword mountain looked like an antiquity that had existed since the ancient times. It reflected the vicissitudes of life and was lofty, illuminating the whole world like a red sun. Everyone was staring at the sword mountain, and each of them had amazement in their eyes. What kind of skill is it? That was a grotesque and unique scene. It's the principle. It's the sword principle. What sword principle is it? Exactly. It makes me feel so weird. Everyone looked at Jian Nantian in fright. Celestial Master Ku Xian was also staring at Jian Nantian from the ancient monster clan. He had astonishment in his eyes. Is the strongest sword principle one of the three principles that Jian Nantian has cultivated? The strongest sword principle. Celestial Master Ku Xian's heart skipped a beat when he heard those 4 words. That was the legendary principle. Throughout the history of the whole green fire world, there were only a few people who could cultivate the strongest sword principle. Ordinary people could never cultivate the strongest sword principle. How could Jian Nantian have cultivated the strongest sword principle when he was only about 2,000 years old? Impossible. That's impossible. Celestial Master Ku Xian shook his head madly. It took him a while to calm down. At this moment, Jian Nantian, still under the gaze of everyone, stopped moving. He stood in front of Celestial Master Ku Xian, and the distance between the two men was less than 100 li. It was such a short distance that Jian Nantian could cover it with 1 step. Celestial Master Ku Xian, play your tricks, Jian Nantian said coldly. Celestial Master Ku Xian's pupils contracted slightly. He had come fully prepared this time in order to cope with Jian Nantian and Jian Wushuang, and had lots of trump cards ready to use. Clan defending formation and ancient god tactical formation. For example, were just two of the trump cards. They were just the tip of the iceberg in the ancient monster clan. If nothing else, his existence was a sky-supporting pillar in the ancient monster clan. The battle strength of a celestial master's exceptional realm would not be easily exceeded. This old man wants to see how strong you are as the supervisor of Samsara Temple. How dare you challenge Heaven-Ceasing Mountain? Celestial Master Ku Exion said in a cold voice. As he finished talking, a soaring aura burst out from his body. Celestial Master Ku Exion, who had reached the level of Holy Master Exceptional Realm and was the greatest expert in Ancient Monster Clan, took action. Chapter 1076, Hero of the Battle. Chapter 1076, Hero of the Battle. Being in the exceptional realm of the Celestial Master, every one of them was a top expert in Green Fire World. Every single one of had the strength to shake the entire Green Fire World. If the mad and capable Empyrean Patriarch should be facing a Celestial Master in Exceptional Realm, he could only run. In the realm of Celestial Master, a small gap meant a world of difference. Right now, Celestial Master Ku Exion acted and incited a terrifying aura. The crowd gasped simultaneously. Shoo! Celestial Master Ku Exion dashed forward and then was already in front of Jian Nantian. He wore a pair of red gloves with glowing red energy surrounding him. Moreover, a spectral image of exotic beast more than 3,000 meters high rose up behind him. The spectral image looked eccentric, demonic, and seductive. It really was that of a heavenly monster. Blood Talon! Celestial Master Ku Exion snarled and reached out his paws surrounded by red energy fast like a lightning. Splash! The world seemed to be torn apart. Spatial turbulence burst out. The moment Celestial Master Ku Exion waved his palm, the giant heavenly monster spectral image attacked. It was fast and overwhelming. Jian Nantian remained indifferent. Only when the spectral image's paws approached him did he bother to brandish his sword. His move was simple and slow, but hit exactly in the center of the paw. Clang! Massive energy split, like sparks. Jian Nantian shattered the blood-red paws. However, at the moment, the heavenly monster spectral image behind Celestial Master Ku Exion looked up. Its eyes flashed with bizarre lights, hypnotically. Illusion skill. Jian Nantian faintly smiled, remained still, and looked into the spectral image's eyes. The heavenly monster had cast a strong spell on him, but Jian Nantian felt nothing at all. Splash! A scarlet palm broke through the void in front of Jian Nantian and was coming right at the latter's heart. Jian Nantian did not even lift a finger. However, just as the scarlet palm was about to touch him, he struck back with his long sword. Have I failed to bewitch him with my heavenly monster illusion skill? A slight trace of fear flashed in the Celestial Master's eyes. Immediately, he retracted his palm and opened his mouth. Simultaneously, the spectral image behind him opened its mouth as well. Moo! The heavenly monster let out a weird roar rippling through the air. This time, it was a sound wave attack. The two Celestial Master in Exceptional Realm was tangled in a fierce fight. The entire world could hear them. On another battlefield, the battle between Jian Wushuang and Celestial Master Winter Whistle was drawing to an end. Explode! Jian Wushuang snarled and released the full power of the trembling Blood Mountain sword in his hand. The biggest hit, bladed surge. Bump! With a long, deep sound, the remaining power hit Celestial Master Winter Whistle. The Tao Master shook with a pale face, blood gushing out from his mouth. Die! Jian Wushuang hacked with his Blood Mountain sword. His swordsmanship was in full swing. Increasingly lightning-fast sword shadows swooshed past toward Celestial Master Winter Whistle. Celestial Master Winter Whistle warded them off, but only for a few strokes. Shortly after, he was defeated back like a flowing light. When he reached the camp of the ancient demon clan, he decided to stop. The scene left many people in awe. However, quite a few of them expected this. One must know that a month before, during the Supervisor's inauguration ceremony, Jian Wushuang had defeated Celestial Master Lei Yi. In terms of strength, Celestial Master Lei Yi was even more capable than Celestial Master Winter Whistle. If Jian Wushuang could beat Celestial Master Lei Yi, it was natural for him to beat Celestial Master Winter Whistle. Run! When Celestial Master Winter Whistle ran off, Jian Wushuang could not help but scorned. If a medium Celestial Master decided to run, Jian Wushuang was unable to hold them back. Then Jian Wushuang beamed himself into another battlefield, where his slaughter body fought the silver-armored ancient god. Without blood-killing plate armor and blood mountain sword, his slaughter body fell short of his world body. Thus, it got engaged in a fight where it had been held down the silver-armored ancient god. However, when his world body arrived, two original bodies joined forces to leave the silver-armored ancient god nowhere to go. Bump! Breaking all resistance, a giant gold finger full of ancient god power poked at the silver-armored ancient god. Finally, the god lost all its strength, and the human figure, the 9 ancient god guards, spat out blood and withdrew from the battlefield. Jian Wushuang's 2 original bodies had completely defeated both Celestial Master Winter Whistle and the ancient god battle formation. In fights between Celestial Masters, usual Dao Masters don't stand a chance. Now that I've taken down 2 Celestial Masters of the ancient demon clan, I'll leave the rest to you, Father. His 2 bodies were joined into one. He stood under the sky with a long sword on his back, looking into the battle in the distance. He knew that today he merely needed to get rid of some small bumps for his father. He only needed to deal with the rest Celestial Masters and left Celestial Master Ku Xian to his father. His father was the hero of the battle. Buzz! A soaring, killing intent rose up. A red cloud emerged on Celestial Master Ku Xian. At the same time, the spectral image was also covered in the cloud. Moreover, the spectral image's eyes turned scarlet as well. Then, Celestial Master Ku Xian moved. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. He struck for 9 times. Every blow was able to destroy an elementary Celestial Master. The 9 paws came at Jian Nanshan's head at an ultra-fast speed. Still, Jian Nantian brandished his sword casually 9 times in a row. Clang, clang, clang. The paw and sword clashed. All 9 blows of paw were warded off, during which Jian Nantian did not even move his feet. Chapter 1077, Draw the Sword. Chapter 1077, Draw the Sword. How could it be? The Celestial Master's brow knitted. He looked in shock at Jian Nantian. The observing crowd also looked serious. They had witnessed the entire fight between Celestial Master Ku Xian and Jian Nantian from the very beginning. They had witnessed the Celestial Master's skills and killing moves, such as illusion attack, sound wave attack, and etc. The Celestial Master had used all his secret skills. However, no matter how many skills he had utilized, Jian Nantian stayed put and brandished his sword casually, warding off all his moves. Is he not affected by illusion attack at all? And stay unmoved facing sound wave attack. Moreover, he even dodged the best hit I've just struck. The Celestial Master looked terrible, but soon He snorted and spoke in a deep voice. Jian Nantian, what a supervisor that has passed 9 tests from Samsara Temple. You've exceeded my expectations. In the same realm, if I meet you elsewhere, I must kill you right on the spot. However, here is my clan. I've got all the legacy of my prosperous ancient demon clan. You can't win this. Open the energy gathering formation. Hearing Celestial Master Ku Xian on top of an ancient demon clan's towering altar, a dozen of Celestial Masters' eyes flashed with excitement. Boom! A terrifying energy was released from the altar. The world seemed to be covered in the great power. Heaven and earth spiritual energy in the void was gathered rapidly from all directions. They all went in the direction of Celestial Master Ku Xian, standing above the void, absorbing these amazing heaven and earth spiritual energy. His aura was becoming increasingly strong. At the sight of this, Jian Wushang squinted. Well, they've prepared themselves. They actually have set up such an energy-gathering formation. Gu King faintly smiled. In a so-called energy-gathering formation, one could gather the nearby heaven and earth spiritual energy and absorb them. Finally, they could use the power temporarily. It was a common formation in Green Fire World. If it was just a normal formation, Jian Wushang would have ignored it. Nevertheless, this formation was growing bigger and bigger, covering a big part of the land. With this amount of heaven and earth spiritual energy, Celestial Master Ku Xian had naturally strengthened himself. At present, his aura was stronger by 3/10. His strength also grew by the same. It might look trivial. However, in the realm of Celestial Master, even an insignificant rise would greatly increase his offensive power, speed, and etc. The Celestial Master had reached a brand new level of the battle strength. Above the void, Celestial Master Ku Xian's face looked weather-beaten. He was still covered in the red cloud. The heavenly monster spectral image behind him even expanded a little more. Jian Nantian, how about now? Ready to take my paw? Bearing an extreme confidence, he struck again. His paw was still fierce like that of an eagle and fast like a lightning. Shrouded in the red blood, it came at Jian Nantian. At the moment he acted, the spectral image also reached out its paw. A giant scarlet paw fell from the sky. With overwhelming strength, it was about to land on Jian Nantian's head. This time, Celestial Master Ku Xian performed a paw that none of his previous ones could compare to. Nevertheless, Jian Nantian was as calm as ever. He still brandished his longsword casually. A grand sword light shone. It was a beautiful and mind-blowing one. Swish! The giant scarlet palm actually broke into 2. Massive power burst out in 4 directions. What? Celestial Master Ku Xian was shocked. He could accept the fact that Jian Nantian had taken his previous paw. However, using the energy-gathering formation to have increased his strength, he still failed to completely destroy the latter. How is this possible? We're in the same exceptional realm of the Celestial Master. Why is he... Celestial Master Ku Xian still found it unbelievable. Celestial Master Ku Xian, you've been attacking from the very beginning. Now, is it time for me to take the turns? Coldly, Jian Nantian's voice echoed in the sky. The observing crowd was stunned by Jian Nantian's words. It occurred to them that Jian Nantian had been standing in the same spot from the beginning. He had been casually warding off the Celestial Master's blows. He did not strike even once. He merely used his defensive skills, never an offensive swordsmanship. Go! Jian Nantian drew his sword. Still casually, the magnificent sword light shone again. The blow was magnificent and fast. It nearly approached Celestial Master Ku Xian in just 1 second. The Celestial Master widened his eyes and put on a serious face. At the sight of the grand sword light, red clouds rose up from his skin. Releasing his formidable aura, he lifted his palm and struck again. The giant heavenly monster spectral image caught the beautiful sword light. However, the fierce and shredding energy in the sword light burst out. Splash! The giant scarlet palm was sliced in half. Even the adjoining red arms were split into two. Though it was formed by the heaven and earth spiritual energy, Celestial Master Ku Xian still felt a pain in his palm. Then, he retraced at once. At this moment, Jian Nantian brandished his long sword one more time. The second sword light fell. This swift and violent one, like a meteor, glided over the sky and reached the Celestial Master in moments. Chapter 1078, Trump Card. Chapter 1078, Trump Card. The Celestial Master's face darkened, then he slapped forward. A towering red mountain blocked the way. Swish! However, the fierce and violent sword light sliced the mountain into two at once. Moreover, the sword light even penetrated the mountain to pound on the Celestial Master, pushing the latter several steps away. Then Jian Nantian brandished his long sword one more time. This had been his third strike. This time, he struck out quietly like a ghost. Although he had moved, no sword light or sword scar could be seen in the sky. The Celestial Master's countenance completely changed at the sight of Jian Nantian's blow. Having no time to think, he tried hard to dodge the blow at an ultra-fast speed. He had tried his best to move. However, he was only inches away from Jian Nantian's sword. Swish! The sword light swooshed past his right shoulder. The Celestial Master could hear sword edge piercing into his body. The strike not only pierced through him, but also took down his entire right arm. Though losing his arm, the Celestial Master did not pay much attention to it. He had been possessed by a lingering fear. He knew that if he had been a little slower, if he did not swing himself, his entire body would have been sliced into two. I was right. You did devise the strongest sword principle. Celestial Master Ku Xian covered his bleeding shoulder, energy floating around. Apparently, he was healing himself. At the same time, he looked at Jian Nantian solemnly. The crowd became excited because of the Celestial Master Ku Xian's words. The strongest sword principle. In the legend, it's no wonder Jian Nantian acted so effortless. He actually created the strongest sword principle. Shock and terror seized the crowd. Father! Even Jian Wushuang glanced at Jian Nantian. Jian Wushuang had the strongest sword heart and did want to invent the strongest sword principle as well. However, until now, he had only created one creation-level Dao and two universe-level Daos. He was far from conjuring the strongest sword principle. On the other hand, his father had succeeded. Having the body of the sword spirit, your father has been gifted in sword principle. Moreover, he's been cultivating in the secret land for more than 100,000 years. It's natural that he succeeded in the strongest sword principle. If he hasn't been suppressed when he's weak, he would be more capable than now. Gu Qing's comments rang in Jian Wushuang's head. Jian Wushuang agreed. He had only heard about the strongest sword principle in tales. After all, compared to the creation-level Dao, it was much more powerful. Jian Nantian combined the strongest sword principle and other two creation-level Daos. 3 Daos were joined to create an immortal Dharma body, which was much more capable than an ordinary celestial master in exceptional realm. I didn't see it coming. The celestial master exclaimed regretfully. The one who was cast out by our ancient demon clan 2,000 years ago, who was deemed a shame of our bloodline, has actually invented the strongest sword principle. Moreover, you actually pushed our clan to such a plight. Since the establishment of our clan, it was only once when we've been injured like this. We have played our ultimate trump card to survive. Now, it looks like that we have to use it for the second time. The Celestial Master's words made the present experts look astounded. They had fought so violently, and yet he still held a trump card. Moreover, an ultimate trump card. What exactly was the ultimate trump card? They knew it soon. Then, Celestial Master Ku Exion sneered and thumped on the city of the ancient demon clan several times. All his thumps had been eccentric, and his eyes turned scarlet. "Let the blood spring rise," the Celestial Master shouted, and immediately, deep in the ground, a blood-curdling energy rose up. It was the bloodline power, a large number of overwhelming bloodline power from under the ground, and the next moment, they surged in the Celestial Master's direction. What is that? The crowd froze at the scene. The bloodline power was too much and too powerful. Nevertheless, Celestial Master Ku Exion had actually managed to swallow all of them at once. Based on the abundant power, his aura skyrocketed again to an unprecedented level. His body expanded as well, with red clouds rolling around him. Terrifying, killing intent swooshed past in all directions. His aura is so mighty. At present, Jian Wushuang put on a serious face as well, because he could clearly sense the increase of the Celestial Master's aura. His aura even exceeded a Celestial Master's level. Of course, he still failed to match Samsara Temple Master, Void Temple Master, and Dao Yuanzi. He seemed to be ranked between Celestial Master and the supreme level. However, Jian Wushuang was positive that Celestial Master Ku Exion had tremendously increased both his aura and his strength. They do have an ultimate trump card. Gu King's voice rang again. If I'm not mistaken, the immense bloodline power must have been extracted from dying experts. The ancient demon clan has lived for long on Samsara continent. There have been numerous Dao masters in their history. It was possible that they collected so much bloodline power with special methods to create a pure blood spring. The immense bloodline power has been mixed in its creation and bears hazardous substance. The Celestial Master will consume the toxic substance as well if he just swallows like that. That being said, he will indeed be much more capable temporarily, just like now. Hearing these words, Jian Wushuang nodded solemnly. He had tried directly swallowing bloodline power as well. Thus, he knew too well of the result. The hazardous attempt would immensely affect one's body. The more he swallowed, the more vulnerable he would become.